Yes, good evening, everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hello, how are we doing? Welcome back. It's a really interesting time to be a Spurs fan. First of all, I want to start off by apologising. I think those who have watched me for years know that normally when I go on holiday, Spurs do some business. And this time it didn't work. Unfortunately, I tried to magic some transfers into the world, but it didn't work. And we are now, I believe it's 7 weeks, if I'm not wrong, 7 weeks now since we've signed anyone. Um, uh, Look, I watch content. I see clips. I see rants. I see a lot of people arguing about who we should buy. And I feel like we're arguing the wrong thing. The question for me should be, why does our plan seem to just revolve around two footballers? Our whole forward plan seems to be revolving around Gakpo and Savio. And again, if you put to the side over here, forget what you think of them for 1 minute, because we don't control who they buy. So just for 1 minute, forget what you think of Savio and Gakpo. It feels like this is it, right? It's Savio Gakpo every day. This is getting closer. This bid, City won't sell him. Liverpool don't want to sell. Gakpo wants to leave. When they get Mbaye and Barcola, when Man City sign a replacement, it feels like it's Groundhog Day for 7 weeks. And I think at the time of signing Tonali, even I was like, wow, Tottenham are moving. And no part of me at that point thought we're now going to go 7 weeks without signing a footballer. And I don't know, I'm not even angry. I feel like this is Spurs, right? I'm not angry. There's no rant. I'm not disappointed. I feel like there's so much of this is inevitable. I think there are lots of fake people now trying to spin a narrative that this is different. I don't think this is different. I think what's happened, and again, I'm just going to put this out there right now. When I say something, it's my opinion. No one else's. I'm not paid to say it. This is my opinion. I am what I am. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up anyone's ass. Okay? I'm just not going to do that. Where I'm at the moment is it feels very much like ENIC have, Van Hecker 1 year on his contract. That's normal. That's what we do. Three free transfers, right? So it feels to me that the Tonali and Fernandes deals, which obviously we know we had to pay over the odds, and that's fine. We knew we had to pay over the odds to get them. It feels like those two signings have kind of made people think that everything is very different. And I don't think it is. I'm not, at the moment, I'm not seeing what is that different. Listen, I've got no complaints with the free signings that we made. That's absolutely fine. But no one's going to tell me that they were difficult signings to make. Robertson's coming to the end of his career. Senesi, we're a step up from Bournemouth. We are, whatever people want to say. Who else? Dubravka. I mean, that's a no-brainer for Dubravka and for Tottenham. And Van Hecker, 1 year left on his deal. It very much feels to me that the Tonali and the Fernandes deal has made everybody go way overboard, that this is somehow very different to previous transfer windows. Now, I was having a really interesting conversation actually with my brother-in-law while we were on holiday. Again, nothing to do with Tottenham, Chelsea fan, nothing to do with Tottenham. And we were having the chat about everyone's going, oh my God, look how much Spurs have spent on these players. But inflation meant that we were going to have to, right? At some stage, Spurs were going to have to pay big bucks for players. And that is this window. For two players, by the way. I feel like we're making out like we've signed 5 players at 80 million. We've signed 2. And that's brilliant. I love both of them. I think Tonali's a wonderful footballer. His level is up there. I think Matheus Fernandes is a wonderful footballer. And I've got no problem. Brilliant signings. I think they're going to make Spurs have a really good midfield when they're both fit. But I feel like, in a way, it was almost like almost to say, shut up, Spurs fans. Look, we do care. And then 7 weeks. If I'm not wrong, it's 7 weeks. Someone might be able to tell me I'm wrong. I'll tell you what, look. What date did Spurs sign Sandro Tonali?
According to Wikipedia.
Right, the 6th of July. How many days ago was the 6th of July? 43 days. So 43 days we've not signed a footballer. But we were told, we were told we want to compete. We want to let players go at the right time. We want to go big. We were told there was loads and loads of money. And I'm not a fan of buying players for the sake of buying players, but this isn't a squad that is buying for the sake of it. This is a squad that is buying because we desperately need to buy. Right? This is a squad that desperately needed changing. I don't care how much money I'm seeing people complain about, oh, we only got 35 million for Romero. Well, who was bidding more for him? I don't care about that. Get rid of whoever you want. As I've said a million times, I don't care. This squad, I don't care how many of them go. None of them for me are above that point where I go, oh my gosh, you can't sell X, Y, Z. But we're in this position now where if I broke this down over a couple of weeks ago, I would say Tonali and Fernandes are guaranteed starters. I think we all agree on that, right? I would say that Jean-Paul Van Hecke is also a guaranteed starter. Is Senesi a guaranteed starter? When everyone's fit? Is Andy Robertson when everyone's fit? Is Dubravka? So I'm looking at it and going, have we done enough? Did we kick on? And let me explain what I mean, because I know a lot of people don't listen. So you get the people in the chat like this guy who's going, I get it. But this is a squad that needed a massive revamp. And so many people told us this is different. ENIC 2.0. This is change. Cool. So what we've been doing for 7 weeks, just asking the question. People who think this is negative, I'm just asking the question. What have we done for 7 weeks that shows that there's ambition? What have we done for 7 weeks that shows we are ready for the Premier League season? And again, the season starts in 3 days. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're playing, right? So when people say this to me, we've had all summer. And do you know what? I'll call it out. Do you know what I love about people like this? Those of you who watch me every week, every year, right? Those of you who watch me every week and every year, they will know that I say this every window. Every window, we have to go through this game. Every window, we have to go through this game of idiots saying, judge it when the window closes. The season starts in 3 days. Why are we not ready? Why are we not even... We haven't even got one new forward to say, core, they mean business. Why? And I've watched a lot of channels today, and it's all about arguing about, is Savio worth this? Is Gakpo worth? I think we're missing the point. Whether it's Savio or Gakpo, that's who the club want, right? That's who we're told that De Zerbi wants. And that's brilliant if they get the deals done, right? But how long have we been told now that we're after Cody Gakpo? I don't know, what, a month? 5 weeks? How long have we been after Savio? Now, again, I like Savio. This is nothing to do with the player's ability. I'm not talking about Savio and Gakpo's ability. For me, it's a futile argument, right? It's a futile argument. We've been told they are the two, right? They are the two that Roberto De Zerbi wants. Brilliant. What if you don't get them? after all of this summer, if we do not end up with Savio and Gakpo, what's all of this waiting been for? Now, I'm in the camp of, I'm disappointed that even if we get them, right? Even if we get them, why are they not in for the start of the season? Now, you get all those, I love it, right? I always group Spurs fans in, right? You get those that want to be super fans. You know, if we just say really nice things, it means we're better football fans. That's great. Cool. Do it, right? But when people say the window's not shut, yeah, cool, but the season starts in 3 days. And our forward options are Tell, Richarlison, Moore, and Ajayi. Like, are they the four people? Are they the four options we've got? Kudus is injured, Solanke's injured. That is what ENIC 2.0 looks like? Change? Is that what it looks like? So I'm asking the question. I'm asking the questions, people. If some people think that's what changes, fine. I get people that go, oh, I'm not worried. How can anyone, oh, hang on, we've got a troll. We've got a troll. Do we entertain the troll or do we just kick the troll out? What do we do? Let's have a look at the troll. Channel activity. Joined 2 months ago. No subscribers. They've had one timeout. Oh, gosh. Gosh. Can you imagine? Imagine if this person had just been parented properly. Never mind. Goodbye. Right. So you get my point, right? This is ENIC 2.0. This is change. Is it? Is it really? Break it down. Is it really? Because what people can't do is they can't separate two transfers from the bigger picture, right? They can't separate Tonali and Fernandes, where we had to go way above. And I've got no problem, by the way, right? I've got no problem. It's not my money. I don't care that we had to go above and beyond. But when you actually then sit down and go, right, where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of it? Like I'm just looking at it going, why has nothing happened? And that's what I can't rationalize in my brain, right? This is what I can't rationalize in my brain. Are Savio and Gakpo the only two forwards in the whole of football that we want as a club? Now, I don't know the answer to that, but it would appear so, right? Because I'm seeing players move left, right, and centre. I'm told there's no players. AC Milan just went and bought Diego Moreira, right? Moved, right? El Mala is on the move, right? Gonzalo Ramos moved. And we could do this all day long, by the way. We could go through all of this. Malik Fofana going to Roma. We could do this all day long. Players are moving left, right, and centre. But the super fans will tell you, yeah, but none of them are good enough for Tottenham. Yeah, none of them are good enough for a club that finished 17th 2 years in a row. Really? I want to be excited. I do. I truly want to be excited. Yeah, it was another one. Akliouche, right? In January. Oh, but he's not Prem proven. Oh my God, this Prem proven nonsense again. Scrap that. 68%, 70% of the league is foreign, but they're not Prem proven. He then gets a move to PSG. Not good enough for Tottenham, but he went to PSG. There are forwards everywhere. Now, it all depends, right? It all depends. If you're asking me, are there loads and loads of 35, 30 goal a season strikers? No, we know there isn't. The whole world knows there isn't. You've got Harry Kane, you've got Erling Haaland, you've got Mbappe, you've got Lautaro Martinez, and maybe Osimhen. These guys are guaranteed to give you goals every year. No one else is. No one else is guaranteed to give you goals, right? So what you've got to do for me is you've got to look and go, right, okay, how do these other clubs that don't have a 30, 35 goal a season striker, how do they do well? Well, they build a team where you have someone on the left who gets you 10, someone on the right who gets you 10, someone through the middle who gets you 15 to 18, an attacking midfielder that gets you 8 to 10. You know, you put together a team. But we seem to think no one is good enough. No one's good enough for Tottenham. Like, no one's good enough. Oh, Gakpo, really? Yeah, miles better than anything we've got. Miles better. Yeah, like, it's crazy. Everyone willing, they're not good enough. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. We haven't even got a number 10 at the moment. Haven't even got a fit number 10. We're having to pay Conor Gallagher there, who's not a playmaker. I want to take you back. I'll do some comments in a minute. So big up to each and every single one of you as well. I hope you're all well. I want to take you back to this time last year when we were doing shows. And I was saying the exact same things. Where's the wingers? Where's the strikers? Where's the playmakers? Right? And again, Spurs didn't do what they needed to. And the same people. Window's not shut yet. The window's not shut. Then what did we do? We panic bought Simmons. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like Simmons, but Simmons for me needed time. You can't just bring him in when the season starts and go on, go, be amazing. Yeah. We panicked with a loan on the last day for Mawani. And we never quite got with it, did we? At any point throughout the season, we never quite got with it. And all last year, Grealish, not good enough. Rashford, not good enough. No one's good enough. No one was good enough. And now we're sitting here with Mikey Moore, Tell, Richarlison, Ajayi. Like, this is I don't know. This is mediocre time, right? This is real mediocre time for Tottenham Hotspur. And it's not to say that they're all bad footballers, but it's not a front three anyone's going to be scared of, is it? It's not. It's just not. None of those individually do it for me. None of that as a free doesn't do it for me. But I just wonder what was the plan? When I'm told by people, a message by people I'm close with that say, don't worry, this is all part of a long plan. Well, what's the plan? Like, why do these people know the plan, but the rest of us haven't been told it, apparently? If the plan is Gakpo and Savva, at what point are Spurs going to go, well, this isn't working? Do you know what I mean? And again, as I've said, remove their ability. I'm not talking about them as plans, but if the plan is, these are the two players you want, at what stage are Spurs going to go, shit, this isn't happening, let's move on? At what point are we going to, I don't know, I'm just using this name for an example. At what point are we going to go, right, how much do Villarreal want for Mikatadze? 70 million euros? Right, let's. No? Are we not going to do that? And every time I'm told they're getting De Zerbi what he wants. Well, they're not. They're not getting him what he wants. We've just gone through an entire pre-season with, I think, Fernandez and Tonali played 45 minutes together. Right? 45 minutes together in the entire pre-season. Porro has not kicked a ball. Destiny Udogie has not kicked a ball. Solanke, Kudus, Maddison's had 45 minutes of a behind closed doors game. So when people say they're giving him what he wants, this is going to take years. What's going to take years? What, to buy some forwards? Why? When I hear that excuse, oh, it's not all going to be done in one window. Can someone explain what that means? It can't all be done in one window. What can't all be done? You can't get some new forwards. Spurs can't sign forwards from anywhere across Europe. Sod that, anywhere across the world. Bournemouth needed a forward in January and went out and found Rayan. Spurs, we can't find a Rayan. Right? We can't find a Rayan. It is literally players we know in the Premier League, no one else seems to be scouted. And when I see people like Paul O'Keefe, Alistair Gold, they're all going, well, no, who said that? Sorry, where are our bids for players in Italy, France, Spain, Germany? Where are the bids? I haven't seen any concrete bid. I don't know about you guys. I haven't seen any concrete bid for any player that is not in the Premier League. We've heard about Gakpo. We've heard about Savio. We've heard about Somerville. We've heard about Rashford. We've heard about Krupi. All of them Premier League players. I'm not seeing any links to any of these players from abroad. Where's our solace? How good he was the weekend. All the people again, oh, he's only come from the Belgium league. I'm just a bit, listen, tell me in the chat if I'm wrong. Feel free, call me whatever you want. I'm giving you carte blanche to call me all the names under the sun. Go for it. Tell me if I'm being a dickhead, right? But I think all of us at the time when Tonali signed would have sat here and gone, something's different. We're going to kick on here and get forwards. No one in their right mind would have said that 43 days later, 3 days before the season starts, that we wouldn't have signed anybody to help in those areas. Anybody. And the only answer that people can give me is window isn't shut yet. Is that it? The window isn't shut yet. Is that the answer to everything? If I had £1 for every time somebody's told me that, right? If I had £1 for every time someone says the window's not shut, I'd be a millionaire because it's every year. Now, I'll say it right now. I believe Spurs will buy some forwards. I don't doubt that. But my problem, yet again, is why is it always so late? And when people go, again, oh, but so-and-so haven't signed anyone. I don't care what other clubs are doing. Other clubs don't need the surgery we need. They don't, do they? Look, if we're going to be brutally honest, the other clubs don't need it, right? I looked at, as I said, I was with my brother-in-law on holiday, and we were sitting there Saturday. I was watching on my phone. I was watching Spurs v Hoffenheim, and he was watching Chelsea versus whoever Chelsea were playing. Can't remember now. They were playing somebody, Sociedad maybe, and I said, "What's your 11?" And he read me the Chelsea 11 for the final pre-season game. And I went, that's ready, right? Not saying Chelsea won't buy anyone else or sell anyone, but I looked at that 11 and they had Palmer and Rodgers playing behind João Pedro with Caicedo and Neto one side, Palestra the other. Reece James was in centre mid, Fofana, Colwill and Lacroix. And I thought, how are Chelsea that ready? They're that ready. Look at that 11. It's probably their best 11. They're good to go. And then you look at us in our game and you go, well, Moore, Tell, and Richie is the front three. Bergvall starting in midfield still. Gray's playing at right back. Ben Davis is playing at set. Like, you know when you just look and you go, what's going on? Like, what is going on? And again, I feel like you've missed the point here, Rick. Sure, Cucurella's a great left back. But the point is, Chelsea have gone out and got their replacement for Cucurella. Haven't they? Chelsea have gone and bought 2 wing backs. They've bought in, God, my brain, Palestra and Echeverria, right? They've already got Maligusto as well. Neto can play there as well. And you look at it and you go, right, so they've sold a player and they've got the player in, right? Enzo might not be there. Morgan Rodgers has come in. Imagine they keep Morgan Rodgers and Enzo, right? So I look at it and I go, why is this so difficult always at Tottenham? Why is it always Tottenham that we can't do this stuff? And you know, I'm used to being called negative. It's all fine. But I just looked at that Chelsea front three for that game. Palmer, Rodgers and Pedro. And then I looked at our front three and went, wow, like we are, wow. Like they've got no Europe either. They've got no Europe either. And went down and went, Rodgers, we'll have you. Right? Lacroix. Century. We're sitting here going, yeah, well, there's no forwards. It's got to, you know, the next one I hear is there's only certain amount of players that can play RDZ's way. And you're like, really? Really? I've seen De Zerbi have lots of different players, different types of players at Marseille, different types of players at Brighton, but at Tottenham, apparently we can't get them. For example, look at that Pashao, who we got at Marseille. Why can't we buy a player like that? I'm not saying buy him. I'm just saying, why can't we find a player like that? Why? I just don't understand it. And what's making me more annoyed is so many of the people that were ENIC out. They weren't ENIC out. They were Levy out, right? Because now Levy's gone. The excuses that are now coming for this window, we would never have had those excuses under Levy. I'm going to say it right now. I said this on a video the other day, and this might piss a few people off. I don't care, right? I just don't care. If Daniel Levy was in charge right now, we would be sitting here saying, Daniel Levy has not bought the forwards again. He's not shown any ambition. He's left us short again. He's not backed another manager again. But because Levy's gone, suddenly the narrative is, well, we only want 2 players. And I don't buy it. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I'll challenge it. Any YouTubers out there listening, I don't know. Maybe no one watches me. I don't know. If any YouTubers out there that disagree with me, feel free to jump on. I'll give you the link. I don't care if I know you or not. Feel free to jump on and we'll have the chat. But I can't make the excuses this year that we didn't make for Daniel Levy. Now, I don't rate Daniel Levy. Let me just make that very clear. I didn't want Daniel Levy here. If this was Daniel Levy not getting a deal over the line, like we have not been able to with Gakpo and Savio, we would be losing our minds. Another deal that Levy's messed up. He just can't get deals over the line. Now it's Savio and Gakpo. It's, but Liverpool and City are holding it up. Oh. So when it's Daniel Levy, it's all Daniel Levy. When it's these lot, it's because of the other club. And that's not me backing up Daniel Levy, right? That's not me backing up Daniel Levy. As I said, if any of these YouTubers really, really want to come on, message me if you got my number. See, again, this person doesn't listen. You're half backing a manager. We've done nothing. Anything attacking, we've done nothing. Mate, you can smash your transfer record twice. Brilliant. Do you care about that? Let me ask you this question. The big O. Why do you care that we've smashed our transfer record? I care about getting the right players into the football club. I care about Spurs going and buying forwards and wingers and playmakers. So why do I... All right, they've smashed the transfer record twice and the front line is still crap. What does that tell you? We have to stop making up excuses. We have to stop making up excuses. We were told very clearly they want to go big. Cool. Where is it? Where is it? Where is big? Now, by big, I don't expect that they're going to buy Erling Haalands. I don't expect that Osmans are going to come through the door. But I do expect that we're going to be ready for the season. I do expect that I'm not going into Brentford with no playmaker fit. Right? With Tell, Richie and Moore as our front three. Now, I don't even know if we beat Brentford or not, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. Again, you're missing the you're missing the point. You're missing the point. No. It's not hard to find good forwards. No. See, this is what we talked about just now. This excuse that it's hard to find good forwards. Look how many forwards are moving across the world. Look how many are moving across the world. You're a scruffy-looking nerve hurter. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? A nerve hurter. Thank you. Why is everyone else able to bring in wingers and forwards, but with Spurs, there aren't any? Why are these people that are saying we're smashing our transfer? You do realise, right? You do realise inflation is a thing. Inflation is a thing. At some point, Spurs were going to beat their transfer record. I think Sean called out for you. He said, this summer we will. I think most agreed with Sean as well when he said it, because let's be brutally honest. The fees on players are ridiculous. You weren't going to get away without going over the 60 million bracket. But at the end of the day, brilliant. You've signed 2 midfielders and broken your record. Sorry, did that just stop the squad building? You know, we've let 15, 16 players go across youth team, fringe players, first team players. And we're sitting here going, oh, but they've broken the transfer record twice, right? Okay. So what? Yay. Right? So what? That's like me and my wife buying a new house going, oh, we've broken our house buying record, but we're not going to buy any furniture to put in the house. It's ridiculous. Who cares? We're not accountants. We're not accountants. Why are we worried? We broke the transfer record, right? We're paying bigger wages, right? What? So we're acting like a normal club. Cool, good. But we don't need new forwards because there's no forwards out there. There's no forwards anywhere. Yesterday alone, Moreira, as I said, Diego Moreira yesterday to Milan. We're seeing that Malik Fofana's in talks with Roma. You know, I'm not saying he's a winger, but Rodrigo Mora has gone to Roma. Like El Mala is moving as well, right? That's just in the last 36 hours, by the way, people. There are players everywhere, right? There are players absolutely everywhere. But people who don't watch any other leagues go, there's no players about. No, there's no players. This guy, absolutely. Mikatadze. Are you telling me we can't get Mikatadze out of Villarreal? I don't believe it. Again, dude, I'm going to call it. If you're going to be an idiot, you can go somewhere else. There's no meltdown. I'm asking questions. People always say it's a meltdown when they hear facts. I hear this every year. Save the meltdown for when the window shuts. Dude, we're starting another season unprepared. Why don't people like you understand that? The season doesn't start when the window shuts. The season doesn't start when the transfer window shuts. The season starts Saturday. Why are we not ready? But there's no needle movers out there. What? From Tell, Richarlison and more. There's no needle movers. There's no needle movers. No one. No one is better than... Like, when you actually say it to yourself, right? I'm going to ask everyone to do me a favor right now. Everybody, say this to yourself and then take 5 seconds to think about it. There's no one better than what we've got up front. Why do other clubs not have the problem? When you're saying it's not as easy, no one said transfers are easy, but I hate to break it to you again. You're a sympathizer. I like this. I like these people. They're sympathizers, right? They're sympathizers. When you're saying it's not as easy as I make out, it's their job. I hate to break it to you, right? It's their job to scout and buy footballers. It's their job. So when you're going, it's not easy. I mean, Chelsea rocked up to Aston Villa and went, there's 117 million. And in 24 hours, he was a Chelsea player. So please don't tell me we can't find forwards anywhere across Europe. Right? Please don't tell me that, because it's not true. And Alex, this is my point. I keep hearing it's changed. What's changed? No one can actually tell me. They go, Tonali. Cool, right? Good. We bought a good midfielder. What next? Oh, we don't need to do anything else now because we bought a top midfielder and broke our transfer fee. Do you know what? I'll take it one further. I hope you're well, Alex, my man. I hope you and the family are well. I don't even think we need three. Three. I think we need 4. I think this forward line needed a complete revamp. I think it needed a complete revamp, and we will buy. I've got no doubt. Again, people like this, they don't listen, do they? Don't listen. Notice they've always got no proper name and no picture. They're not listening to context. Don't listen. And again, first of all, I don't think it's going to be 85 million. But again, this is not about what we want as fans. We're told that De Zerbi only wants these 2 players. If he wants them, fine. But bloody get them. If you want them, you've got to get them. You can't turn around. See, the same people will turn around and they will say at the end of the window, oh, but we tried. We tried for Gakpo. We tried for Savio. We tried for Krupi. And they go, next window. No. Stop. Surely when you see that, again, I said this at the beginning of the show. Guys and girls, for 1 second, just try if you can. Forget what you think of Savio, whether you hate him, love him, or somewhere in the middle. If Savio is the guy they want, and they can see that this is becoming more and more difficult to happen, move on. Right? Move on. But we're sitting here going, well, Savio, a deal might be done, and Savio's liking this, and Savio's liking that. Then if he's the guy you want, I don't care what you've got to pay for him. If he's the guy you want, if that's your guy, not you guys, Spurs. This is Spurs' guy. 3 windows in a row. If that's the guy you want, go and buy him. Go and get him. If you can't get him out of Man City, there are players all over the world that you can go to. There are players all over the world that you can go and get. And Spurs aren't doing it. And that is what frustrates me no end. Right? Cool. And if City are being stubborn, then you say, all right, don't worry, keep him. We will go elsewhere. They've had all summer. All summer. And I tell you what worries me is the number of comments I read in the chat. It's the same thing every year. It's like watching Stranger Things and then pretending that the ending's going to be different at the end of it. Isn't it? It's like people aren't, they're not learning in any way, shape or form. It's the same things. It's the same things. Windows not sharp. Yeah, that excuse. Clubs know we have money. Clubs know Chelsea have money. So how did Chelsea get Morgan Rogers out of Aston Villa? See, again, dude, you will get blocked. If you say dumb stuff, you're going to get blocked. If you say dumb shit, you're going to get blocked, all right? You're going to get blocked if you just say stupid shit. I've never said get ripped off. Listen to what I'm saying. If you can't listen, probably go and watch, I don't know, watch the Colouring In channel or something, because you're not listening. I've never said I want to get ripped off. I'm saying if you cannot go and get the player you want and the fee is too much, move on. Right? Move on. But if it is really the guy you want, and if it's this guy or nothing, then make the deal happen. Right? It's not for me or you to decide how much Savio is worth. But when I'm told this is the guy to back De Zerbi, this is who he wants, cool, back him and get it done. Don't worry about us fans going, 85, 90, 75. If that's your guy, get it done. And then it falls on De Zerbi to get the best out of him. I don't understand how that is so difficult for anybody to understand. I genuinely don't understand how that is so difficult. I like Savio, right? I like Savio, me personally. Some people don't like Savio. It's not down to us at the end of the day. We're told this is the guy. Right? We're told this is the guy. So I've been told Ben Jacobs has tweeted. What's Ben Jacobs tweeted? Has he? I can't see that he said anything. I can't see anything. I can't see that he said anything. Big up to Smokey Boy, who's bought me a coffee. Very, very generous with the link. Thank you so much, Smokey Boy. He's just put, we shall see. We shall. Smokey Boy, you're a legend. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Again, you're not listening to what I'm saying. Listen, I'm not the one that's made Savio our number one target. So there are three options. Spurs go to Man City and go, how much do you want? And City go, we want, let's use your example, we want 85 million. And Spurs go, oh, no, we're going nowhere near that. Cool. Then walk away. Right? Walk away. Bring in somebody else. Bring in a Mikatadze. Bring in El Mala. Bring in Fafana. I don't know, just names. I'm just chucking names. But if it is, this is who he wants, this is the only winger he wants, then make it happen, because the transfer fee doesn't matter to me. Right? The transfer fee doesn't matter to me. It's what Spurs are doing to back De Zerbi, I'm told. Then when they don't get it done, it's, oh, they tried. I can't have it. It doesn't make sense. We're now just doing everything in our power, yeah, to... we all know why. It's because Levy's not here. It's because Daniel Levy's not here. If Daniel Levy was here right now, every man, woman, and dog are complaining that Daniel Levy can't get deals over the line. Big up to you, Evan. I'm going to go to some comments in the chat now. I can't believe I've talked for 44 minutes straight. Quite astonishing. Hang on. Oh, I might be getting Connor on. I love Connor. What a good lad Connor is. I've talked for 44 minutes straight. Let me go to some comments. We'll get some good ones up. We'll get some shit ones up. We'll get some troll ones up. Let's see the best we can do in the chat. Let's see, shall we? Look. Oh, hang on. Ben Jacobs said they've had the nuts and bolts for the deal for quite some time. It was about waiting for Enzo Maresco to approve that he wanted Savio to go. That part has been done. Tottenham need to be patient, but Savio is definitely still a concrete possibility, as is Cody Gakpo. I mean, how many times, before I go to the chat, how many times can we hear the same bloody story? How many times? How many times can we hear Savio's nearly done? Savio's nearly done. Spurs need Maresca to tick it off. Well, we just heard he did that a week ago. So what's the problem now? Oh, City are being difficult. Okay, move on. Move on. Listen, as I said, I like Savva. I think he's a really good player. But he's not the only footballer in the world. And I fail to believe that he is. I fail to believe. I don't know. Thanks, Mark, for sending that through to me, mate. Thank you. Really appreciate that. I fail to believe. Let me know in the chat. There's nearly 600 of you in here at the moment. Big up to each and every one of you. I hope you are well. And yes, this is absolutely it from Drunken Orc. The same paragraph scrambled in an inventive new way. Absolutely. They've taken their paragraph, chucked it into Chat GPT and gone, can you say exactly the same thing in different words? That's all that's all this is. So again, I hope this clarifies. When I watch people debating Savio, right? Debating Gakpo. For me, this shouldn't even be about debating these two players. It should be debating about why it's only these two players that we're going for. Are you telling me, and let me know in the chat, are you guys telling me that Roberto De Zerbi has rocked up to Spurs and gone, I want Savio and only Savio on the left wing? Does anyone truly believe that? Does anyone truly believe that he's gone, this is the only left winger in world football that I am prepared to take? And they've gone, well, what about but no, I don't want any of them. It's just him. Gakpo. He's the only centre forward I want. I don't want anyone else if I can't get Gakpo. I don't believe it. And I don't believe that this guy believes it either. Connor, my man. No, he's gone. Look how quickly he came and went. He came and went. He saw me and said, nah, sod that for a laugh. I'm asking you guys the question, right? No one believes that, right? No one believes that that is the only person that Roberto De Zerbi has said, this is who I want. Now, he may be a main target. I'm not doubting that. But El Mala? Sorry, El Mala, quality winger. No, we don't think he's good. Is he not good enough for Tottenham Hotspur? No. Malik Fofana? No, he's not good enough. No. Mikatadze? No, not good enough either. I mean, you got players like De Ketelaere at Atlanta. No, we don't. No, not good enough for Tottenham. Nusa? No, we don't fancy him either. Or are we waiting for every one of these players to be unobtainable and then we panic buy in the last week of the window? And then these people that are defending Enoch go, told you had to wait. Well, why? If we end up with El Mala or Nusa or Mikatadze, my frustration is going to be, well, why did you wait till the last week of the window to go and get it done? And again, Doku, we're hearing Doku's got injured. What does that do now? Do Man City turn around and go, you know what? Can't let him go now. Another winger. Like, there's wingers everywhere, right? And this is the thing. Big up to you, Terry. I hope you're well. Big up to my man, Phil. Big up to you, Phil President. How you doing? We are a frustrating club. Savva, check my picture. Can't quite see what it is. Can't see what it is. Connor, how you doing, man? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. How are you? Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My StreamYard crashed.
That's all right.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Listen, I feel like I've let the people down. Normally I go on holiday and the here we goes flood in and I get to do a video not wearing a lot of clothes and looking tanned and hey, I'm a hero. No, nothing. 10 days and I've come back. Nothing's happened. Give me kind of, we talk on WhatsApp, but give me your take on this and the ever mounting number of excuses now from people as to why Tottenham still haven't strengthened.
Yeah, I mean, if you had told anyone, what was it, 6-7 weeks ago when we signed Tonali and Fernandes, that, you know, we weren't going to have an attacking player through the door by now, they would have been calling us negative, you know, moaners, all of this stuff. I mean, it's pretty outrageous to me that we're on the week of the game, and we still haven't got an attacking player through the door. And I mean, it's probably the part of the pitch that all of us would have identified. I mean, we needed strengthening everywhere, but particularly up front, we needed strengthening. And to be going into that Brentford game with the prospect of having Richarlison, Mikey Moore, and Tell as your front three is pretty worrying. And it, to me, it just stinks of another manager who's going to be left short by this ownership, right? So, yeah, it's worrying for me, mate.
Let's talk about that, Connor, right? Because I was told ENIC 2.0. I was told change. I'm being told that there is money there available to spend and that it's De Zerbi not spending it. So let's say I've got no doubt we buy a couple of forwards in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know who it will be at this stage. But let's say it's underwhelming. Where does that blame lie? Is it ENIC that have put up the cash? Are we still going to blame Lang, even though we're being told he's got nothing to do with it? Is it De Zerbi for only wanting Gakpo and Savio? Where does it lie?
I don't think it's I don't think it's on De Zerbi, to be honest. I know he wants Gakpo apparently, and the Savino one, I'm not sure how much is being driven by him, because obviously we were after him, last summer as well. I mean, this is like the never-ending saga, isn't it, for a player?
Yeah.
I know you like him. I'm a little bit more mixed on him, but I don't think he deserves a transfer saga like this, to be honest. I think it's either, make it happen or move on, as you said.
Connor, just quickly, imagine the pressure on Savio if this deal gets done.
Agree.
Right? He's going to come in and people are going to go on, 20 goals, 20 assists. I think I just think it's mad, the pressure that this transfer saga is going to cause.
No, I agree. And then look, I think everyone got very, very excited, and and fair enough. We did break the transfer record twice. I agree with you, though. Obviously, I think that was always going to happen with what we've seen in terms of inflation. But if you had said to me after the end of last year that we were going to sign Tonali and Fernandes in the summer, to be honest, I would have thought that you were mad. So we were all buzzing with that. That's a revolution in terms of our midfield, and we hope that was the signs of change. But unfortunately, it's not looking that different, really. I mean, you look at the net spend. Net spend is lower than it was last summer as it stands. Depending on whether you include add-ons or not, it's anywhere between 50 and 70 million our net spend. So that doesn't look particularly like any sort of change. Now, obviously, there's still some time left, but there's still some players we've got left to sell as well. The Sarr should go. Arguably, we should sell Bergvall if someone offers 60 million. I think that's ridiculous money for him, given what he's done in his career. So they can still recoup more as well. The wages obviously will have moved up a bit. They've changed the way that they view wages, but not massively. We've had some big players come off the wage bill as well. Palhinha and Muani were there last year. They've both come off. Romero's come off. So in terms of like when you've got fans of other clubs going, "Oh, look, Tottenham have really opened the checkbook. How are they doing this?" All of this type of stuff. It's not that different actually, and it's just the way that a Big Six club should be operating. I mean, this is a club that's finished 17th twice. I keep reminding people of this. Because I keep getting, Arsenal haven't done loads and Liverpool haven't done loads yet, and but they didn't just finish 17th twice back to back. Yeah. We've got heaps and heaps and heaps to do, and I just don't. I think I've messaged you this. I can already foresee the tweets in October, November time when fans start digging out De Zerbi and go, "Oh, I thought De Zerbi was meant to be attacking," but then he's told, to try and make magic happen with Richarlison, Solanke, Moore, Tell, these types of players that are nowhere near the required standard. It doesn't matter how good the manager is, mate, to be honest. They can take you so far, but ultimately, until you get, we need the players in as well. There's only so much he can do with that attack.
Do you know what? I completely wish I could bottle everything you've just said there and steal it for when I'm talking to people about Spurs. I don't disagree with any of it. And I think the worrying thing for me is, and thanks, Ash, Yeah, thank you. I quite suit a tan. I'm really happy about it. I feel like I'm browner than the camera showing as well. Anyway,
Well, it helps being on with me, Sav, to be fair, because I'm so pale. It's making
yeah.
you seem even browner.
I won't show you my white bits on camera. Connor, I won't show you my white bits. I think the interesting thing for me is, I said earlier in the show, I love Tonali. Everyone, I think, who watches me knows I'm a huge Matheus Fernandes fan. I think anyone who says, oh, he's been relegated twice, I think they completely don't understand football if you think it's all on him. I think the bigger worry than all of this for me is that was the moment where you went, have they kicked on? Have they? Is this the start of something? And everyone said, you remember that big WhatsApp group we were in? It's not a thing anymore. Everyone said it, right? Gutted. You're in the mud. Enoch this. They've changed. Look. And don't worry. We'll have 3 forwards in for the first game. Not one. There's not. We've got to register a forward by 12 p.m. Friday for them to play. If I'm not wrong, if my maths is any good, that's less than, what's that, 63 hours? Sorry, it might be bad. 62 hours, something like that, 60 hours to make that happen. And I feel like what they've done here is, I think they've gone big early to kind of shut a few people up. I think they've gone really big early with those 2 signings, which, let's be fair, and I don't care, but they have massively overpaid. And I've got no problem on it. Do it. Go and get them. Other than that, Van Hecker had 1 year left on his contract. I mean, this is De Zerbi's guy that he brought over who had 1 year left. You're going to get it done. The rest are free transfers. What have they been doing for 7 weeks? There's my question to you, Connor. What have they been doing for 7 weeks that they can't find a forward anywhere?
God knows. And I mean, this is what exposes their incompetence, isn't it? Because I think it's ultimately, it seems to be, it's either Savinho and Gakpo or nothing, right? Which, I mean, what other serious football club operates that way? There's got to be a point. And look, people will go, oh, you don't want to miss out. You want to try and get your top targets. You don't want to go lower. But Savio and Gakpo are not that amazing, right? That you're so desperate that that's all that can happen. I mean, they're not, to be honest, in their respective positions, they're not at the level of Tonali and Fernandes, right? Savio and Gakpo. They're not as good as Tonali and Fernandes. They're good players.
Yeah. Should be buying them.
There's lots of good players, right? There's lots of good players, in those. And there has to come a point in any negotiation where you go, like, Man City and Liverpool don't have to do Tottenham a favour. Actually, it's completely in their interest not to do us a favour. If we're going to achieve what we want to achieve, we should be competing with them for Champions League places. So why would they make life easy for us? They've got no willingness to do that. So, if I was Man City or Liverpool at the moment, I think, oh yeah, let's just keep stringing them along for longer and longer, because we know that, worst case, we end up selling them for a lot more because actually Tottenham just don't have any alternative, and they will throw 85 million at a Savino because they get so desperate. Or otherwise, we don't sell him, we keep him in the squad, and you know what? Actually, we fucked Tottenham because they've had to wait all this time, and then they have to panic and get someone else in at the last minute. There has to come a point in this negotiation where you go, right, the number we're willing to pay for Savino is 70 million.
Yeah.
And if you don't accept it by then, we're going to move on. And there's plenty of other players of that same mould that you can move on to. So I don't, I don't buy it. And I don't, people will go, the window's not shut, let's wait and see. But then you can't argue that, why does every manager ever say they want players in early to get ready for pre-season? And then all of these same people, when we got Tonali and Fernandes in, went, wow, look, Tottenham are moving different. We're getting players in early.
Yeah.
And they ran that argument.
Yeah.
And now...
then when you get to the end of the window, the window's not shut yet. Well, hang on. Our manager and whatever Charrington is, what is he? Non-exec chief? I don't know. Some
non-exec chair, right? Yeah.
He come out and said, we want to move early. We want to sell players at the right time. We are aware we took our eye off the ball. And fans go, it's different. But then when it goes to those same fans go, it's not shut yet. But hang on, the manager said, I want players in early. I want us to move early. I want them in for pre-season. Like, and I see fans talking about title challenges. I see fans talking about top 2 or 3. We've got one of the worst forward lines I've ever seen in the history of Tottenham. And we're sitting here talking about challenging. I think we're miles off it, mate. And I'll tell you where I think that a lot of people are not actually, again, on the surface, we got Tonali, Fernandes, Van Hecker. They're players we should be able to buy, in my opinion. It's just that we haven't been buying them because we've been so badly run. But let this sink in as well, Connor. This is a pre-season where Spurs haven't managed to get, at any point, a settled right back, right wing combo. Left back, left wing combo. Centre back combo. Tonali and Fernandes played 45 minutes together against Milton Keynes. That was the very first game, if I'm not wrong, behind closed doors. Spurs haven't got, I don't know what our best 11 is. We haven't got a playmaker fit. We've got an awful front three. We've got a brilliant midfield too. I've got no doubt we've got a brilliant midfield too. And I was having this chat today. I don't think we lose many. I don't think we're going to win as many as people think. I think we're going to be a lot of games where we're good, but that there's no firepower. Do you know what I mean? So for me, when I look at all of this, where is this massive optimism coming from? I don't quite get it.
No, I think the shame of it is, I mean, we spoke earlier in the window about this. It does feel like Groundhog Day a bit because we probably had this conversation over multiple windows forever. But there was a real opportunity this year for Tottenham, right? Post getting Tonali and Fernandes. If they'd done similar level of business in the forward positions as that midfield, there was no reason why Tottenham couldn't suddenly find themselves getting back into that, top 6, top 5, like Man United made that jump because,
Agreed.
no European football is massive, right? It's huge for us in terms of, not having that fixture congestion, hopefully will help with injuries. There's a lot of clubs that have got that European football. So we had an opportunity, had we done the work that we needed to do up front to get back into the Champions League quickly. And then suddenly all of these transfers end up washing their own face and paying for themselves, right? Because you suddenly got, you've jumped 12 places in the league and you've got Champions League football back. But it's mind blowing. It feels like we're just having these same conversations all the time, window after window. And to me, look, I was listening to you when you were chatting earlier, and clearly I'm no fan of Daniel Levy, and Levy was a massive issue when it came to transfers. But you're spot on with what you say. The excuses that are being made now would not have been made for him. We have to be consistent in the way that we. And for me, it's always been bigger than him.
Where's
anyway,
Lubo? Where's my mate Lubo? Get Lubo. If you're watching, you get on because he is the king of Levy. He can't get deals done. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to put this out there right now. Whoever's in charge of the Gakpo and Savio deals, this is worse, isn't it? Like this has been over a month for Gakpo and Savio. Now this is 3 windows in a row. So, we have to be consistent with this and say if Levy couldn't get the deals done last year, he couldn't get Morgan Gibbs-White. We all went mad at him, right? He didn't get Eze done. We all went mad at him. But now it's Man City. It's Liverpool. It's their fault. Well, why is it? Chelsea rocked up to Aston Villa and went, there's 117 million. Now, Connor, I'm not suggesting in any way, shape or form we pay 170 million pounds for these players. But they rocked up and went, how much do you want? This is our main guy. And they went, boom. And Chelsea went, okay, boom.
Yeah. The thing is sometimes deals don't get done, right? We're both grown up enough to understand that the transfer window can be challenging at times. We don't think it's Football Manager or FIFA. We understand. But this is back to that earlier point. If a deal can't be done within a reasonable time frame, move on. It's as simple as that, isn't it? I've viewed houses when I've gone to buy houses, and you like a house and you're willing to offer a certain amount, and you might fall in love with that house, but then suddenly you can't get it for that amount, and someone's come in and gazumped you or whatever. You move on. We all, Savinho and Gakpo are not the only 2 attacking players in world football that we could be targeting. And to your earlier point, you're now in a. I mean, we're not going to have someone for Brentford, are we? Let's be honest, but because of the time by which they're registered,
they're going to have to be
and
in
people
tomorrow.
go to me,
there's going to have to be a here we go tomorrow to have 48 hours to get them signed by 12 p.m. on Saturday. And I know it's not just about the Brentford game, Connor, but if we get to the Brentford game, and again, it's bigger picture, but if we get to the Brentford game and we play well, but we can't put the ball in the net and lose 2-0, is everyone just going to go, oh, it's okay because the window's not shut yet? Or are we all going to go, well, we knew we couldn't score goals all summer. Why is it not addressed? Which side of the excuse are people going to sit on?
Well, yeah, I agree. And the thing is people make the argument, and it's got a bit of truth to it, that you want to make the right signing because that player's going to be there for 3, 4, 5 years, and this is only one game potentially. Obviously, we understand that, but equally, that one game could be the difference between getting Champions League football or not. You could fall. We lose or draw with Brentford and we fall 2 or 3 points behind the top 5, and then suddenly you've lost out on 50, 60 million as a result of that, which may have been different. Everything has an opportunity cost. The stuff you don't do does as much as the stuff that you do, right? So, and to me, it's inexcusable, to be honest, to have gone through a whole summer after finishing 17th twice, knowing the players that we have out, to not have one attacker through the door. I mean, I just don't know how you can ever excuse that.
But again, sorry, Andy Midge, again, this is the thing, we're falling into that trap, right? Is if the selling sides are making life difficult, move on. We've had all summer. And listen, Connor had it bang on just now. Why would City make it easy, right? If Spurs are not hitting a magic number that City want, and Spurs fans are going, oh, he's not worth that, cool, move on. What, we can't find anyone as good as Savino across the whole of world football? What, the Belgium league, the Italian league, the French, the Spanish, the German, I don't know, the Dutch league, I don't know, Saudi, what? We can't find anyone as good as Savio anywhere across the league. Mate, this is the point. Big clubs move on, right? Can't get that player, we'll go and get that player, right? That's, look at Arsenal, right? They wanted Morgan Rogers. It didn't happen. A week later, Guimaraes is through the door. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I was nodding to my wife.
No, that's right. No, I was just reading Andy.
And I'm like, yeah.
Andy's just commented saying, wouldn't you moan we're going for our 4th, 5th, 6th options again like we usually do? Well, the point is that in this circumstance, there wouldn't be that much gap between Savino and 4 or 5 other players at any competent scouting department. He's not a superstar. It's not like that there should be that much difference. So
this isn't David Ginola. Do you know what I mean? This isn't Tottenham going to get Rafa van der Vaart or David Ginola. Listen, I like him. Connor and I might have differences on what we think of Savio, but the point is, Andy, is if we don't get him, all of this, well, we waited to try and back De Zerbi, that's mental. Listen, I'm sure there are people that Pep Guardiola wanted that he couldn't get, and then Man City went, all right, we can't get him, we'll get him. I'm sure Man United have players that under Ferguson and Wenger, for whoever, that you move on. You know, why are we the only club that make excuses for not being able to get deals done? Right? It's constant excuses.
This thing about us and our ability to get deals done, and we've spoken about it before, about how the deals that we manage to get done generally are ones where it's in the selling club's interest as well. So, we've spoken about Maddison before, Richarlison, Everton had FFP issues, blah, blah. But you can even do that with this summer, right? Where people wouldn't think it necessarily because we have broken the transfer record twice. But let's be honest, West Ham got relegated. They needed to get rid of Fernandes. Even Newcastle, and I know there are other clubs interested, but Newcastle are in a settlement agreement with UEFA. They had financial fair play issues whereby they had to sell. Liverpool and Man City don't, right? And so so we can never do these types of deals with the ones that can't. Even Van Hecker, he had a year left on his contract and we still paid, I don't care, because I think I'd rather have him in than not have him in, and
Of course, yeah.
it's what the manager wanted. But we paid a lot of money for someone with 12 months left. So this is where, though, if you can't get those sort of deals done, be honest with yourself that you can't get those sort of deals done, move on, and go and bully the clubs in Europe that you can bully, because Tottenham can bully clubs in Europe that are outside of the PSGs, Bayern Munich's, Barcelona's, Real Madrid's. Because we're a financial powerhouse compared to them. You can offer more wages, you might have to pay a bit, but you wouldn't be paying what you're having to pay over the odds for these Prem targets at the moment. So we just have to be realistic.
Isn't that it? This, what is perceived to be a policy of only Prem players, right? Now, I say perceived. I'll challenge anyone to tell me a player we've had a bid for outside the Premier League this window. A concrete bid that Spurs have had this, not, oh, we looked at Liao, or, oh, we might have looked at Vlad. Someone tell me a concrete bid we've had that isn't in the Premier League. And the detriment of that, Connor, is that you have to pay big money, right? The detriment of that is that these clubs that are not poor can turn around and go, well, we don't, look at Newcastle, right? Newcastle don't have to sell Tonali. Tonali might want to go, but they don't have to sell him. So it's up to Spurs to go, all right, he's 65. No, we want 100. All right, he's 70. No, we want to. That's the selling club's prerogative. When you go in Europe, there are so many clubs where they don't have that luxury of turning down £50 million for players, right? A lot of these Italian clubs, a lot of these Spanish clubs.
Well, it's like Villarreal with Mkhitaryan. I know the rumours that Mkhitaryan, I think Paul O'Keefe put on Twitter, didn't he, 80 million euros. If you went to Villarreal and you said we're going to give you £55 million, 60 for Mkhitaryan, they're taking it all day long. They're they're ripping your hands off for that. You're getting him now. I don't know whether what I've seen of him. I like him. I don't know whether that's necessarily the answer. It's just an example, right? But there'll be lots of examples like that. And I think what this comes down to be honest, this whole Prem proven thing is we don't have a competent scouting and analytics department, a competent director of football. So you can see what's happening here. They're like, shit, where do we go from Savio and Gakpo? Well, we don't know because we haven't really identified any targets. Right. We haven't got the ability, the competence to move on to go and find someone else. And so this is why,
that a sad indictment, Connor, that nobody in this can come back and say, listen, I know we want Savio, but there's let's just use El Mala, for example. But look, you've got El Mala in Germany. He's going to cost you 55 million quid, right? Are you telling me that nobody at Tottenham Hotspur is capable of that? And if you're telling me I'm not saying you, but if you're telling me they are, and that De Zerbi is saying, I don't want him, then we've got problems. Because if you think you're going to get your first choice target every time you go for a signing, City don't have that. Chelsea and Arsenal don't have that. But Real Madrid went for Real Madrid have lost out on targets, right?
Yeah.
But we're Tottenham going, nah, it's these two or nothing. And look, this will sound a bit weird because I like them both, right? Connor, I do. I think they're both big upgrades on what we've got. But neither of them are like first choice, mind-blowing starters that have blown everyone away. And we're going, oh my gosh, we're going to try and take him out of there. It's not like we're going and taking Cherky from Man City. We're taking Savio, who's been a squad player. We're taking Gakpo, who is in and out of the Liverpool football team. And we're going, it's those two or nothing. And I fail to believe that De Zerbi said this. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe this at all.
Well, I think the other problem is very clear. I think that there's no confidence from them either. Right? I think they're so nervous about doing anything other than the Prem proven thing, right? Because Land, let's be honest, is a wet blanket of a bloke, right? So you can imagine him going into these meetings with De Zerbi. Whereas at other big football clubs, the sporting director will go to the manager and say, I think you should really sign this bloke. I think he's going to be perfect for what you want, the profile you've described. And they push it even on the manager a bit, right? And it's a bit of a But you can imagine what it's like behind the scenes at Tottenham, where De Zerbi has said, "Oh, I like Gakpo for whatever reason. I like, and
Yeah,
there's no viable alternative that they're willing to even present to him because they just don't have the ability to be clear in their convictions. They just don't have that ability." And I mean, I've just seen a post, but I'll come back to that one in a sec. I just saw a
yeah.
post where someone said, "I'd rather have no forward line than panic buys." I mean, that they're not the only two options, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're criticizing, What
Yeah.
we've been in a summer window. You've hired De Zerbi. There's options for a club of our size that we shouldn't be. The only alternatives are nothing or panic buys. Why?
That,
How are we even discussing that?
that's like buying a house which has got no shower. It's just got a bath, right? And me
Mm,
going, oh, I'd rather have no bathroom than just a bath. No, put in a shower. Like, do you know what I mean? No,
exactly.
this is, I genuinely don't get it, right? And this comment for me, this is, I like Calspur. I've got no problem with Calspur, but this is everything that the Spurs ownership want. Sorry, there are not a lot of good players out there. Are you kidding me? Are we really, really saying there's no good players out there? This is Arsenal got Solis for 35 million. Akliouche was available in the window. Lookman, El Mala, Diego Moreira, Mora. Like there's players everywhere, and yet all I hear is there's no good players. And I completely agree, Ash. This for me is the worry, that I don't think people are watching any other league other than the Premier League if they're saying there's no good players out there. There are plenty. I'm just sending the link to Lubo. That should be fun. There are plenty of players out there. And I'm getting every window we have this, right? There's no players. So what? Every year there's just no good footballers anywhere in the world. So people like Calspur, right? People like Calspur are watching Tell, Richarlison and more and going, yeah, we're going to struggle to upgrade those three. What are we doing? There's no good players out there. I'm just baffled by those sorts of comments, Connor. That there's no good players out there.
No, I agree. And I mean, look, to be honest, if you'd asked me before the window started, I wouldn't have thought that we would have got upgrades as good as Tonali and Fernandes in midfield. I was very well prepared for us having to build slower than that in all positions, right? And slowly start to close the gap. I would say that I agree with your point you made earlier about that's the level of player we should be getting. But I just thought, to be honest, after having 17th twice and being a complete shit show for a number of years, we would struggle to close that gap as quickly as possible and get that level of player in the summer. So, very, very happy with Tonali and Fernandes. But you can't just have this argument of, oh, if you can't get Harry Kane, then what's the point? I mean,
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I've seen people making that argument. I have seen people making that argument. That does not mean making one up, right? We've got to close the gap.
I've seen that they didn't want anyone else but Kane. Right. I didn't want to marry anyone else but Megan Fox. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, what are we all doing? Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to work for any other company other than Google paying me 500 grand a year. Well, funny that I've got bills to pay. I don't just get to dictate where I work, right? Like I genuinely don't get it. We go from 17th to, I think this is the best point you've made. Sorry, I'm not saying you've made loads of good points, but when you say you have to keep reminding people that we finished 17th twice. And yet when it comes to upgrading, we seem to have this inferiority. Is that the right way? This inferiority complex where no one's good enough to come in and replace Richarlison and Solanke and Tell and more. Connor, they could hire you and I to go around and watch Europe's top leagues for 3 months, right? We would come back with a list of 100 names of players we've seen across all of the top European leagues with all of their skill sets and go, look at these players. And Spurs can't do it.
Yeah, and I think what fans need to get themselves used to, and maybe it's because at Spurs we've not been used to doing it, I don't know, of turning players over quicker as well. You know, like it's almost as if we sign someone, we're 100% stuck with that player for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
We'll never upgrade on them. We're going to be stuck. You know, that's sort of the mentality. Whereas, you know, I use Arsenal as an example. I hate to do it, but they don't have Zinchenko playing for them anymore. Ben White is going to be on his way out. Jesus. But they did a job at that point in time to close the gap from where they were when they were finishing eighth to then get into second. Right. So there's and I can make the argument, to be honest, about Gakpo and Savino. I think they're both decent. They're definitely upgrades on what we've got. Do I think they're going to ever get us challenging for a league title? Savino's got age on his side. If he improves, maybe. But I think at the moment you would probably say it's doubtful for both. But why can't they be improved on in 3-4 years, and then those two players become your squad players? You know,
Connor, this is it. Everyone thinks that the player you buy now has to be the player that can win you the title. And that's just not how the process works. Even look when Man City first got their money, right? They didn't go overnight from not very good to, oh, we've won the league. It was a process. They built these players. Then they went from those players to the De Bruynes, those players to the Vincent Kompanies, those players to the Erling Haalands and the Agueros. It didn't just happen overnight. But when you speak to our fans, none of these players are good. I love it. Like I could just use, for example, Pavlidis, for example, in Portugal, scores 25, 30 goals a season across all competitions. Yeah, not good enough for us. What do you mean we've got Richarlison up front? What are we? No one's saying, oh my gosh, buy Pavlidis. He has to be here for, I'm just using him as an example, by the way. Pavlidis has to be here for 5 years. Why can't you bring him in 2 years, get better, and then you go, okay, cool, we can do better now. Thank you, Pavlidis. We're going to sell you what? We don't seem to operate like that. We want to go from living in our mum's third spare bedroom to having a mansion.
Having £1 million house. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I moved out. I got a flat, right? When I first moved out from my mum's house, I bought a flat, a 1-bedroom flat. I then got a 2-bedroom flat. I then bought a house, then another house, then a bigger house. Spurs fans go, it's Richarlison to Kane. Like there's no one in between. There's no one in between that could possibly bridge that gap. And I'm not buying it. Lubo and I had a good call on the phone earlier, didn't we, Lubo? We had a bit of a ding dong on the phone.
What's new? Good evening, all.
Hello, mate.
You all right?
Very well.
Oh, we're just talking about how Urenic 2.0 are failing miserably.
They're not failing at all. They haven't failed at all. They've given him the money. If he's not spending it, that's down to him. Simple as. It is as simple as that. There's no grey areas here. They've given him the money. They've said that they've stuck 200 million to one side. Go and buy your forward line. If he's not buying them, it's down to him. It's down to no one else. Or his team. Yeah, De Zerbi. De Zerbi's team. De Zerbi and his team. It's down to them. They've got the money to spend. The money's there. There's no messing about. Much as I hate Enoch for what they've done for 25 years, I've got to be balanced and measured. And for the first time in 51 transfer windows, they're actually put the money up. So, you know, what we're going to do is ignore it, deny it.
Why is he not buying then? By the way, I don't believe this. I'm just going to, just for fairness, I don't believe what Lubo is saying. And Lubo knows that. I told him that earlier on the phone. I do not believe this. Let's assume I do believe it. Why then? Why is Roberto De Zerbi not buying footballers if he's got £200 million to spend?
Well, listen, I would think if we got those two that he's put his hat on, I mean, that's 160 million, which I think is, personally, I think the fees are mad. I think 85 for Savino. I think you've got to be locked up if you're going to pay that. I think the guy's worth nowhere near that. Worth nowhere near. Two Premier League goals in 2 years. And he's 85 million. I mean, that's nonsensical. But it's just madness. if it was 60, 65, you can make a case.
But you're saying this is the guy that De Zerbi wants, right?
Yeah.
So which is it? Do we back
Fine.
him and go, we will buy, hang on, do we say we'll back him and we don't care about the price because this is the one guy he wants? Or are we caring about the price now? Where does it, which is, are we backing him or are we not backing him?
No, listen, you can, I'm always behind him. I just don't believe that Savino is worth that money. If he wants to buy him, let him buy him.
Okay.
But,
I'll ask a question. I'll ask a question on this because I think, you know, if we take what you said as true, right, that De Zerbi's been given 200 million and these are I just can't believe that any reasonable person, football manager of De Zerbi's ilk, would go, it's these two or nothing. Bearing in mind what levels are Savino and I could almost see him doing that with the Tonali conversation, right? And the Fernandez one, you know, but you're telling me that De Zerbi wouldn't say, okay, I get it, we probably do need to move on. Or if not, why is someone at the club not telling De Zerbi, these deals aren't happening, we need to move on? You either get someone else or we're going to end up with no one. You know, there needs to be a bit of a, from both sides, doesn't there?
well, there probably needs to be a bit of that. They probably need to be looking at other targets now because Doku's now injured. I mean, who is, so you're thinking about it, City, are they going to let Savino go if Doku's out for, don't know. Listen, if it's a couple of weeks, that's one thing. If it's a longer term injury, they may decide to keep him. I don't know. Gakpo's played a couple of days ago, scored,
and he's playing really well. He's playing very well, by the way.
Yeah. Now they've bought one, haven't they? I think they've just bought one. But if they buy Barcola, then I can see, you know, if they bring two in, then maybe they'll let, you know, be 2 in, 2 out with Salah going as well. So,
but isn't the worry, Lubo, when we're saying now is probably the time to start looking at other people? I mean, how many days of the window left? 14?
Well, I mean, probably about 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Right, okay, 14. Let's just say 14, right? 14 days of the window left. Aren't we now backed into that corner where when people are going, I don't want to pay 85 million for Savio. Now, again, I'm going to say, forget what I think he's worth, or you do, Lubo, or you do, Connor, right? Forget what we think of him as a player. Surely we're at the point where if we walk away from that deal because we don't want to pay that money, if that's what's holding it up, right? Any player we approach now with 14 days left in a transfer window, any club is going to go, well, we haven't got time to replace. So you're going to have to give us this 50 million pound player now becomes a 75, 80 million pound player because we don't have time to replace them.
Also, Savva, the player definitively knows that he was your second choice as well, because it's been like, it's gone on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And this is the problem with only having one target.
Connor, if it's a forward, if it's like a more central type forward rather than a wide player that you associate Savino and Gakpo with, then maybe they won't feel that way because there's been nothing about a central player, has there? Since Kruger,
not particularly
nothing.
Loose links, if anything.
It's all been sure. It's just been wide players, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So looking at it, I mean, just thinking about De Zerbi's going for Prem proven. We haven't had the scouting network set up for this window. It's not set up. We know that. You know, go back to January.
Lubo, do you need a scouting network for players like El Mala and Mikatadze? I'm sorry, like, it's not like they're unknown people in the world of football. Are we saying that De Zerbi and his people, some of the other players aren't going, what about this guy? Or really? Like,
there seems to be a focus purely on Prem proven players this window.
I agree.
And
it's
everything's centered around Premier League players. Now, Mateta's still at Palace, isn't he? So for me,
that would be a very lazy signing for me now.
Because if you're talking about clubs not having time to bring someone in, Mateta was going to go in January when Strand Larsen came in.
Yeah.
So Palace weren't worried about Mateta leaving them because they had his replacement. So maybe, I'm just trying to think logically. based on what you were saying about bringing a replacement in, Palace probably wouldn't need to bring a replacement in.
Sure, but
So
can I ask you a question?
Lazy and poor, that for me.
Yeah.
Sure,
Mateta.
maybe that's the sort of player.
If Mateta came in now,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Connor, I'm going to double down on my opinion here, right? I'm doubling down hard, right? If Mateta is the player that comes in, I'm looking at Spurs and going, you could have done this in the first week of the window. Why on earth have you had to wait until 6 days of the window left to bring in Mateta? That for me will be typical.
I'm just chucking him out. So
No, I know,
I'm just
but
chucking him out. Just as I'm not saying they're going to go for Mateta. He's
being linked, Lubo. He is actively being linked now that Spurs might move to Mateta. So, for example, let me use another player, right? And I quite like this lad, by the way. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not saying he's great, but I think he falls into the bracket, Connor, of what you and I were just talking about of the gap, right? I think there's players out there like Balogun, right? Is he going to grab you 25, 30 league goals? No. I don't think anyone really out there is going to grab you 25, 30 goals. But what he will do is play the De Zerbi way. He runs the channels. He's pacey. He can hold the ball up and he gets in behind, right? If we go and get Balogun now, the question for me again is, why have you waited until 2 weeks of the window to bring in a player who could have been on pre-season tour with us?
There's one other thing you've missed with Balogun as well, Sav, and the striker thing with Richarlison and Solanke. Look, I think both are shit anyway, right? I don't think they're good enough in terms of their... But one of the other big issues with both is availability. You've got two strikers who are very, very injury prone, one of which is out of contract in 12 months' time. So for me, it's complete negligence that they didn't go into this window thinking we need a number 9. Like, you know, and I get that the striker market is not great. We're not talking about 15 years ago, you know, when you had umpteen great strikers around. I get that, but there's upgrades on Richarlison and Solanke, not just in terms of ability, and we can argue about whether you like Richarlison or Solanke, but in terms of availability as well. Solanke's out again, may well come back. I saw he put an Instagram post up, but he'll be injured again. Richarlison, we know will get injured throughout the course of the season, and will be gone next summer, best case probably. So why are we not planning for this again?
And this is what this is what the conversation you and I always disagree on, Lubo, isn't it? For me, nothing that's happened this summer has been a surprise or crept up on us, right? Connor, I'm not wrong, am I? It's not crept up on us that Mohamed Kudus has been out injured for 8 months. It's not crept up on us that Kulusevski's knee had to be rebuilt, Simmons is out until January, and that James Maddison's missed a year of football. It's not crept up on us that Richarlison and Solanke aren't great and are injury prone. It's not crept up on us that we've not replaced Son in 3 windows. And they've gone into this window and we're still sitting here making excuses going, it can't all happen in one window. What can't happen? What? We couldn't have signed 3 forwards. Why? Why couldn't have that happened in one window? I don't buy it. I think it's really, really, really poor from Tottenham. And for me, what they've got to do, and this is to rescue the window, in the next 2 weeks, Tottenham need to pull something out the hat that isn't a Mateta, that isn't a Mikatadze. By the way, I like Mikatadze, but they need to pull something out the hat where you go, cool, fair play. I don't know, Gibbs White from number 10. Do you know what I mean? And Ollie Watkins. They need to pull something out the hat where you go, I didn't see that coming, because I'll say it, Lubo disagrees with me 100%. This is utter negligence. This is pure and utter negligence again. Rant over.
Listen, I think you could turn around, if they don't get the players that he wants, you could turn around and say it's bad decision making. Negligence means you're not doing something, and they are trying.
And they're not.
But if they're, well, they are, because, but you could turn around and say, well, they've made the wrong decision and they backed the wrong horse if you don't get Savinho and Gakpo. So for me, that's, at the end of the day, bottom line, we're just talking about description of how you think De Zerbi and his team have performed. For Scott Amos, the window's not a failure. The window's incomplete because
That's
we
failure,
picked up.
isn't it?
Well, no, I don't think you turn around and say this transfer window is a failure, because I think Tonali, Fernandez, Van Heck, and Senesi they're four very good players. Senesi, I think, will play a lot of games. I think Van der Ven will probably play a lot of games at left back. Sav, I think those four players are very, very good.
I personally
very good
think it's
incomings.
unfair. I personally think it's unfair to put the blame on a manager for a transfer when, regardless of whether, look, let's take what you're saying at face value. If the manager is coming out and saying, I want Savinho or Gakpo or nothing, that manager needs to be told to get back in his box and be told that if those deals can't happen, we're going to sign you someone else, right? Because ultimately, it needs to work both ways. And one, I personally don't think he's got a view that is so strong that he's only going to accept one player in a forward position when the alternative is we go into the season with Tell, Richarlison and Solanke and Moore and everyone else playing. I'd be surprised if that's the case. But if that genuinely is the case,
Connor, no one's been linked, have they? No one else has been linked, though, have they?
Yeah,
We've not been linked for weeks.
Isn't that a problem? But again, see, one thing I'm really clear I want to do on this channel is I want to kind of forget the names and the profiles of the players, right? Because, whether I rate Savio and Gakpo, whether other people don't, let's face it, that's what the club is going for, right? So whatever I think they're worth, my query is why are they not going for other players than Lubo? Why are there players?
I can't answer you. I can't answer you.
I know you can't, but that's why when people are saying right now that the window's a failure, Spurs had a really great start to the window, but it's been 7 weeks. Like I get it, right? If we had signed Tonali last week, right, and but they had 3 free transfers, which, let's be brutally honest, all of those free transfers should have been easy for Spurs to do, right? Senesi, whatever we think of Bournemouth, really great run club. We are bigger than them as a football club, right? It's an upward grade from them, and he's a free transfer. Robertson's coming to the end of his career. It's a good move for him, still to a big club at his age. The Bravka, it's a no-brainer, right? Van Hecker, 1 year left on his deal. So for me, Luba, as I was on the show, those 2 midfield signings for me, which is a lot about inflation rather than anything. And this is where I'll give Sean credit. I don't like giving Sean credit, but I will. As I said, for ages, the Spurs will have they'll have to beat their transfer record this summer because of inflation and because that's the way values are going. But Lubo, 43 days since we've done anything. That's not where when you turn around and go, they're trying. Are they? 43 days and no forwards.
Which teams had the best window? Because of those 43 days, the World Cup was a giant distraction for a lot of people.
It was,
I'm with you, Savva. I'm with you principally that it's getting weaker and weaker. And it's the argument to present Tottenham. Big up to you, by the way. Big up to you all. The argument to present Tottenham's window as amazing, like everyone was presenting it 6 weeks ago, is diluting by the day.
It is, yeah,
100%. But there is obviously comparables, right? Like
sure.
of the last 43 days, 30 of them were in the World Cup, which made it difficult for top level players because most of the top level players that you would think would move the needle were at the World Cup, or at least most of them were. That makes it difficult.
Savinho weren't, was he, to be fair?
Savinho wasn't. No, Savinho definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
But you know how I feel about him, Connor. If you've been, I don't even care about him at all. I don't think he's anything like as good as the asking price suggests he has to be to justify it. But there's also like the argument of like, well, is it a Tottenham problem or is it a market general problem? Because you're looking around and you're seeing a hell of a lot of the same story in every other big, even not just the small teams, big teams as well. Manchester City fans are losing their mind about their window. Liverpool fans aren't happy. United fans think it's the worst window they've ever had. Arsenal fans aren't particularly impressed. And the one shining light from their window thus far, I know it's only pre-season or whatever, but that Solis has proven to be a wonderful success thus far. You know, and that proves as well, to your point, Savva, that actually the whole Prem proven thing isn't necessarily true, right? Because there's other people like Solis out there that could come in and just hit the ground running. But just for the sake of the argument, is it a Tottenham problem, or is Tottenham a part of a bigger issue, which is a Mexican standoff?
I hear it. I think it's a really valid point. I think the difference is when we're talking about when we bring other clubs into it and we want to look at what they've done versus us. It's like what Connor said at the beginning of the show, is that these clubs haven't finished 17th 2 years in a row. So, for example, if you actually speak to sane Arsenal fans, right? If you had spoke to Arsenal fans that are sane, I don't mean the ones that are like Arsenal fan TV and they're all losing their mind online. You would say to Arsenal, right, you've just got to the Champions League final. You've won the Premier League. You got to the League Cup final and the semi-final of the FA Cup, whatever, right? What is it that squad actually needs? One or two out, one or two in. It's fans going, we need more, we need more, we need more. In reality, do Arsenal need that much? I don't know. Maybe they need one superstar that might make them win the Champions League, but that's a bloody, that squad bringing on Saka. Exactly, right?
Well, and that is genuinely hard to do as well, by the way. They went for Vinny Jr., right?
No, but they have the money to do it. And if their net spend is currently... I mean, Arsenal have never sold a player for more than 35 million quid in their entire existence, which is actually laughable when you hear that stat. That's mental stat.
But the
right?
point is they're trying to improve from here, right?
I know, but like I say, Arsenal have got more money, Connor, than anybody else. Right? They've just won the Champions. They got the Premier League. They won the Premier League. They just got the Champions League final. They've got very little debt. The debt that they do have is ownership based. They have essentially. They will have probably made as much money next season's accounts from last.
Yeah, it'll be a record for the.
It'll be a record for them, and it will probably be more than Manchester United, or probably more than City. Right, it'll be up there. But it'll be up there with that.
What is it they need to do? Like, if you're an Arsenal fan right now,
the point I'm making is if they need one player, whether that's an Osimhen, whether that is a striker that's better than Gyökeres, or they wanted a left winger or a right winger, someone to come in that's better than Martinelli. They've got rid of Trossard and they've got Solis. But if they want to go and get someone better than Martinelli, something like that, if that's what they need, they only really need one potential superstar. You could maybe make an argument that they need some support on their right side of defence because 2 or 3 of their right side defenders, including the fullbacks, are injured at the moment. But that's just a temporary thing. Yeah, but you could make the argument that they need one monster superstar, and they are not prepared to go and spend 150 million quid on whatever the asking price is on that particular player, right? Which is...
But there's a huge difference, Sean, between needing the monster super... I agree with you. By the way, I don't think there's many monster superstars out there, but it's a big difference between going from who's the monster superstar at 140, 50 million to how do Spurs upgrade from Mikey Moore and Richarlison? Right?
No,
do you know what I mean?
I'm 100% with you, but the point I'm making is that Arsenal are not limited by the opportunity cost of finance. They have as much money as they want. If there is a player out there that they deem is willing to do it, they could do it, yet they haven't done it for whatever reason, because they are still attributing. There are wingers out there that are better than what they have, right? But they are figuring out that they are not willing to go and spend. If they wanted Desiree Doué, right, just for argument's sake, okay. At some point, Paris Saint-Germain would have a price point where they could go, you know what, fuck it, we'll sell Desiree Doué for that much money.
Sure.
But they're not asking that question because that much money is not worth it to Arsenal.
I get it. Sean, I completely get it. But I think, again, I'll go back to the point. I'm going to latch on to Connor's point, is that this is a squad that's coming from 17th, struggled to score goals. And for me, the big thing is, I'll repeat what I said just now, this is a club that we knew we were going into this window with no playmakers fit for the season. We knew Kudus was going to be out nearly all summer. We knew that Solanke and Richarlison aren't that great and have injury problems. We know that we've only got Matisse Tell on the left and only Kudus on the right. We knew all these things, and to have not addressed any of those areas, for me now, I'm finding it really difficult to excuse it. Like, I'm finding it really, like, Sean, if we were going in on Saturday, right, and you went, right, let's just say, for example, Cody Gakpo's through the door as one of the players, right, and Spurs have had a concrete bid. Let's just use Savio because we know they want him, and Savio is 2 or 3 million apart. It's going to happen next week. As fans, you could sit here and go, okay, well, one of them's in for the start of the season. The other one's going to be in for the next game. I'm confident. We're sitting here right now. There's no bid for Savio. When no one's reported that there's any proper actual bid that Tottenham have communicated to Man City.
Mm-hmm.
Gakpo, we're hearing now that all the reports today are saying that Liverpool are actually really impressed with him and might want him to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting here going, all right, what's the plan? What's the plan?
Tottenham. Okay, I'm not defending Tottenham here because I think this the forward end of the market has been a disgrace. And so I haven't just sort of steamrolled in and trying to take over. I'll shut up. The point I was making on my show earlier was I hear all the time. I have this conversation on Twitter, on my channel. I see everybody in the chat. Some people are like, yeah, Sean, I agree with you. It's too much money. I don't think Savinho is worth anything like 85 million quid. I don't get it. I don't know what he's done. I think he's got a lot of potential, but then so does a hell of a lot of players out there. You could go to Europe and get a Said El Mala that has got bags of potential, just as much potential, right? And it will cost you half the money that Savinho will. And the same with Abdi from the my point being, it gets to 85 million quid. That's apparently what now Man City are asking for. That was before today that now Jeremy Doku is out for 3 or 4 weeks with a knock to some injury. Okay, so it might all be for mute anyway, because the Man City might go, you know what, we can't afford to let him go. But in a world where that didn't happen, 85 million quid. Okay, what's that based on? Well, that's based on Pedro Neto's valuation being 115 million, according to reports in Chelsea's mind. Bonkers, mental. The market has gone absolutely insane. And to those people that tell me, who cares, Butler? If that's who De Zerbi wants, we got to go and pay the money. I say, cool. You say that at 85 million. I say that is a bridge too far, personally. I think we are now, like, Johan Lang has put his eggs into that basket. I don't think he was even De Zerbi's first choice. I think that Johan Lang said that that's the hill I want to die on, whatever. Please meet us in the middle. You can have what you want, but I want that one. Whatever. Fair enough. You got a little bit of give and take. For the people in the chat that say it's not my money, who cares, pay the money, at what point, because there is one, would those people say, you know what, enough is enough, that is too much? If it's not 85 million, is it 100 million? Is it 120 million? Is it 150 million? The reason why I mentioned Arsenal is because Arsenal are at that point where money technically isn't a factor, but they are still looking at whatever the options are in the world of football that are better than Martinelli, of which there are lots, and they may have had conversations, and the answer has been the asking price is too much for them to contemplate, because football is not based only on this season coming, it's on the next season and the season after and the season after that, and there are consequences for those decisions. Whatever you spend now, you can't spend later. Whatever you spend on this guy, you can't spend on that guy. So my question to those people who say I don't give a fuck, excuse my French, just pay the money. At what point do you, those people in the chat, at what point do you say that's too much? If it's not 85, is it 105? Is it 130?
Sean, let me answer from the point of view of something, then I'll go to Lubo. As somebody, I like Savio, right? But I completely agree with you, right? For me, there has to be a point. And by the way, when we're talking about this point, Sean, I think this point has been and gone, right? I think this point has been and gone. I think the point where you walked away from this was a month ago, where you go, right, we've got pre-season tour coming up. Let's walk away from that. Let's get El Mala. Let's get Mikataz. Insert name of footballer, right? Let's get De Ketelaere. Let's get, I don't know, whoever, right? The problem is, Sean, and I agree with you. Please bear in mind here, I agree with you. The problem is we've gone so deep in this now. We are so invested in this that even if we pivot, right? Even if we pivot to someone, we're giving clubs 14 days to replace whichever player we want to go and try and take from them at this stage. So if we go, if on Saturday, I'll use Saturday's first game of the season, 10 days left of the window. If on Saturday Spurs get, right, Man City want 90 or nothing, and we go, no, we're not paying 90. We've now got to go to another football club and go, sorry, we know there's only 10 days left of the window. Could we please have one of your players for 50? And they're going to go, no, not for 50, but he's only worth 50. Well, we've got 10 days to now go and scout and find someone else. So for me, when these fans, and this is where I'm passing to Lubo, when these fans say things like, but the window's not shut yet, this is why you do not leave everything until the last 2 weeks of the window, because you back yourself into a corner where City can demand what they want because they don't have to sell, they don't need the money, right? And other clubs that we pivot to are going to go, Well, hang on. Spurs were going to give 85 million for Savinho. Right. Elmala was 50 million for Dortmund. This is Premier League. We want 70. That's why I think this has been a poor window. And I know Lubo disagrees with me, but that's where I'm at.
Listen, I think you're right. The later you leave it, the less chance the selling club has got to replace. Which is why I can see, and although you may say it's lazy, that's why I can see someone like a Mateta coming in, because they've already got his replacement in January in Strand Larsen.
I'm fine with that, by the way. Fine with that.
I think 85 million for Savino is absolutely ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Sure.
I think it's mad. It's mad.
But who else they got in mind?
And there have got to be better deals than that out there. They've got to be.
Agreed.
Sean, we had this conversation, right, when we signed Tonali and Fernandes about the overpaying and the point at which, fans make the argument it's not your money. I think there's a few differences with this one, though, right, compared to when we were speaking about Tonali. And Tonali and Fernandes were other clubs were in for those players, right? And we were coming from a position of having finished 17th, been a shambles for a couple of years. We're competing with Champions League level clubs. We're going to have to overpay on wages and transfer fee to make up that difference, right? To give ourselves some leverage. I think Savino and Gakpo, no one else, to my knowledge, is in for, right? So I think it's a slightly different argument. I think there was also a big benefit with a Tonali of saying, okay, whatever you think Tonali's worth, right? I really rate Tonali. I think he's great, but I don't think he's worth 100 million if we're being, but let's say you think the price was 85. I think there was a lot to say, okay, it's a 15 million pound overpay. That works out about 3 million quid a year. We've ended up getting a player that I didn't think we could attract, for one. And also we got him in really early. He's had the whole pre-season. So I think there was a lot of other benefits that came with overpaying there. I think the problem with Savino is, to your point, and I know we've all got different views on him as a player, I don't think he's worth overpaying for, because I think there are lots of alternatives that we should have pivoted to already. And we should have already said weeks ago, this is our price point, we're going to move on. I think there was a different point with Tonali and Fernandes, because I think those are genuinely top players you couldn't see us attract.
And for what it's worth, Connor, as time has gone on and the market has gone in the bonkers world that it has, I personally believe Tottenham were in no small part an amplifier, a catalyst for this madness.
Agreed.
100%. But as time has gone on, and you're sitting there going, well, we got him early and it cost that much, we might have created this domino effect of like ridiculousness. But ultimately, he is a player that, as the market has transpired, had you gone in for him now, you wouldn't get him for 85 or 90 or whatever it is we paid. You would pay the 110. Yeah. So there's a consequence of that action. What I would say, I think that Johnny makes this point, I think he makes it quite eloquently, is that when you're participating in an economic game as much as you are a football game, whereby you're sort of paying over the odds to fix your own issues and to kind of get across the line. And obviously there's other macro, but on the micro level, the ownership is trying to prove a point to the Tottenham fans that the previous iteration of ownership. I said, I like that ownership. The previous iteration of ownership is in the past, and we're doing things differently. They had to come out of the traps firing hot, so they've gone and done these things. One of the problems with that is that you've left the most important and difficult part of the puzzle to the last, and that you are now facing the consequence. Like, you've made your bed, now you have to lie in it. So on the one hand, I don't think you can get away without overpaying at this final hurdle. But I'm with you, Connor, in as much as, and I think Luba, I think you're saying the same thing. You think it's madness as well. Savio, I know you rate Savio more than I do. I would just say that here's the other thing, right? If he does come to our football club, park all of my banter, because a lot of the Tell thing is just banter with me. Like, I just like a little, I like a little bit of contrarian nonsense.
You're Matisse Tell.
But it's more just a bit of fun. But I genuinely do rate the guy, and I think he'll do well. But when I'm dying on the hill, it's more just for fun and games, right? But what I would say is that I think Matisse Tell has walked into an environment at Tottenham whereby the price that we ended up paying for him ended up being a little bit of a sort of what's the word? Like a rod in his back.
Something
And
around
his
his
own
neck.
Outlier.
Yeah, 100%, right? 100%. A millstone around his neck, exactly, Connor, is the word I'm looking for, the phrase I'm looking for. And I think that Savio, as much as people right now will get on board it, if we end up paying double what we paid for Matisse Tell, there will be a lot of flip-flop fans that right now are demanding that we pay it because they don't care and they like no one's going to remember their individual tweets because they've only got 10 followers or they're kind of anonymous in the grand scheme of things. But as soon as he comes in, if he doesn't bang it out of the park, those people are going to throw that they're going to unclip it from fucking Matisse Tell's neck and they're going to put a larger millstone around his. And I think that is a massive problem because pressure either creates diamonds or it crushes people. And I think that is a problem that he's going to have to face.
Right. Can I just say, just because I rate Savio doesn't mean I think he's worth 85 million. I don't think most of these footballers are worth what the market is suggesting, right? I mean, Tottenham are asking for 60 million for Lucas Bergvall, who for me does nothing. Now that's just my opinion. That is a 10 to 15 million pound player. I don't know what he's done, and he's worth 60 million apparently. And
they'll probably get it, Sav. They'll probably get it.
Yep, sure. But then there's a knock-on effect to that, Lubo. If we want 60 million for people like Bergvall,
yeah, you've got to pay the money. Yeah,
then you've got to pay big money for people the other way. Now, listen, I like
Yeah.
Savio, but I was someone that said, if you can't get Savio, even if he's your number one target, move the F on, right? Sean, you and I had a chat about 6-7 weeks ago about Savio. And I said, I like him, but he's never been my first choice. Now, if we get him in, I'm happy. I like him. But there are so many wingers out there.
Yeah, it's the most saturated position in football.
I'm seeing wingers. I sent this to you, Lube. I'm seeing wingers move to AC Milan. People like Diego Moreira, these little gems, these players. And you're going, why are Tottenham nowhere to be seen? There's not been a single deal.
Let's not forget, PSG are gobbling these people up like they're going out of fashion because they see that there's a market that's gonna it's a
Sean,
thing
there's been no deal.
It's going to swing back to the value in that position, and they're trying to gobble up these kids that aren't going to play for them.
But there's been no deal, Sean. Like, I'm talking about deals. I don't mean 100 million for tonight. I mean like the deals where you see going at 35 million, 40 million.
Well, Malik Fofana's about to go to Roma for 20 million quid.
So when you look at deals like that, Spurs are nowhere in any of these conversations because of Prem proven, right?
Yeah.
We only want players from the Prem. Cool. If you only want players from the Prem, you're going to have to buy high and you're going to have to sell low because you're selling the players outside the Premier League. If that
by the way, Sav, just quickly on that Prem proven thing, right? Every single foreigner that has done well in the Premier League was at one point a non-Prem proven player. And there's plenty of players within the Premier League that have moved around the Premier League and done worse and worse and worse. Case in point,
our record of Prem proven has been pretty bad, right? Basuma, Richarlison,
Solanke, Brennan Johnson. I mean, you could go all day and all day with. But this is my point, right? I just wanted to see at some point this summer that Spurs got a deal. Do you know what I mean? That Spurs from left field when. Cool. Tell you what, Spurs have just snapped up. I'm just using him for example because he moved yesterday. Spurs have snapped up Diego Moreira that AC Milan have just bought. Or Spurs have bought Malik Fofana for 30 million. All right, he's a little bit raw, but 30 million for him versus 85 million versus, but we don't seem to be anywhere near any of these. And I know what Luba, I know what you're going to say is about we haven't had a scouting team. But a lot of these players are very well known. They're not 18-year-olds that nobody across the world of football knows.
Sav, you've got a situation where you had Barisic come to the management team last December, November, December, and tell them buy Akliouche. He's there, we can get him. And Lang was more interested in backing Frank on Paqueta and Sade. And this is, unfortunately, this is the mentality. This is the level. This is the guys. This just shows his lack of ability in charge of a scouting network.
Overseas is going to be good, Lubo. Not every player. That's,
no, I understand that.
But like every player that does come to the Premier League that excelled at some point wasn't Prem proven, right? And
68%, Sean.
68-70% of the Premier League is foreign, right? So what are we doing here? to shut yourself off from a cheaper market with far more filtering of talent.
Exactly.
It's bonkers. I think we can all agree on that.
Sean, I think we've got.
There's no number 9s, right? There's no number 9s in the market, right? Apparently, there's no number 9s. We're looking at Jean-Philippe Mateta, who, by the way, I'm kind of on board with. If that was the case, I actually rate him, right? Or you got Igor Thiago, which can cost you 80 million quid, but he could be the next Solanke because he had one good season, or Brian Brobby because he's a bulldozer at Sunderland, but he's had one good season. Fine, if you want to do that, great, but I'm not entirely impressed. Or you could go to Sporting and go and get Luis Suarez, who's banged in goal after fucking goal after goal after goal after goal, looks like an absolute obscene talent. And Sporting are not going to command 100 million euros for him, but that guy has done everything he can to prove himself as a top tier player. Now, he might end up being a bit of a letdown, or he might end up being the next thing, right? But or you go and get, if you want to get a big guy, take a risk on Francolino Jew, or if you want a big guy, take a risk on Samu Agahawa. But we're just not interested. Like, there's no noise. There's no noise for any of these players.
No.
You know?
Listen,
can I ask, why are we not, Lubo, for example, why are
absolutely,
we not
100%, 100%, lovely player, sure. Now, and Sarr, and Ismail Sarr, who I was going on about during the World Cup.
Sure,
perfect for Spurs. Sure. Perfect. Go and get Sarr rather than Savinho. Look at the difference in output between the two. Chalk and cheese. Go and buy it.
I completely agree with you, Lubo. But I think the point for me is, and I will do the super chats now as well. See, there's some questions. I've been really bad. I haven't done super chats for 2 hours. The point is that when people are going, let me set this stall out, right? We want a manager that we all get behind, and everyone goes, yeah, we all love RDZ, right? Is that fair? Everyone, I haven't seen anyone that said they weren't happy with De Zerbi. Only a few groups that weren't happy with the whole Greenwood thing, which went away very quickly. We want a manager that we can all get behind, and we want a manager that's going to be backed. We want a manager to have the keys to the castle, right? And we're going to give them exactly what they want. Now, that's great. That's fine. But what you're seeing now, if this is true, I don't know, if it is true that he only wants Gakpo and Savio, this is where you need somebody in the club, like Sean and Connor said, to turn around and go, a month ago, look, this is proving to be difficult. Sure. We want to be ready for the summer, for the season. This is proving to be difficult. What about X, Y, Z? And at the moment, every day it is about Gakpo. Every day is about Savio. And I'm seeing players move. I'm not talking about number 9s. We know there's no top goal scorers around the world. I'm seeing attacking midfielders, wingers move every day. And it's like, where are Spurs? Where are Spurs? We can outbid nearly all of these teams across the world that are buying these players, right? But we're nowhere near any of them.
You know what we're missing, Sav? The transfer window started off brilliantly. You had 6 players in up to what? End of first week of July? Never seen that before at Spurs. What we're missing now, and you can see by the way things are moving on, is we're missing a top director of football who can coordinate the whole thing. And you can see it over the last week or two. It's like, where is the director of football who's guiding everybody?
Okay,
because I think we're missing players. We're missing players abroad. We're missing players abroad.
Sure, you keep telling me Enix 2.0
at cheaper price.
Lubo, so why was the first hang on? So why was the first thing not announced after the Everton game? Why was the first thing not announced? Here is director, whatever name you want to put in. Here's John Smith, the greatest director of football of all time. Why have they again? When you say change, and then why then was the director of football not implemented, and we're relying apparently solely on our manager to pick footballers? That doesn't indicate.
He turned us down, didn't he?
That indicates
they went after Sav. We went after Sebastian Kell, and he turned us down. It was reported that.
But again, there's loads of directors of football.
They decided to stick.
Lubo, this goes back to the other point. The other thing they're missing is not just a director of football; it's a pair of bollocks. The club, they need to tell De Zerbi if he's saying what you. Back to the earlier point, they need to tell him, you've got to move on. Sorry, that's what we're doing. sport, you know, at some point there needs to be a conversation of, and I love De Zerbi, really happy he's manager. I want us to back the manager, but ultimately we're a football club that will be in existence for long after De Zerbi's there as well, right? So there needs to be a point where you go, we need to move on.
Sorry, mate. Is there some
No,
part where, like, I believe that if De Zerbi was to get given a striker and a 10 and a winger in the next 2 weeks, right? Whoever they are at this stage, because I think the fan base believes that De Zerbi's calling the shots. So whoever we land on, we're saying that De Zerbi asked for it. At that point in time, if De Zerbi fails against Brentford, if we lose against Brentford 2-1, 2-0, and then we only pick up a point against Newcastle. Let's say we struggle to get past Charlton in the cup. Let's say it's a shit show start to the season. At that point in time, every other manager going back to Pochettino, since Pochettino, has had the benefit of when things go wrong, 3/4 of the fan base turn their anger towards Daniel Levy. He's no longer there. You've got the staunchest ex-Levy out, ENIC out type of guy here, who now is apparently, because I don't know, Lou, I've heard rumours, mate, that you've become ENIC 2.0 enthusiast. I'm not sure. You can clarify for yourself in a minute. But either way, regardless, if De Zerbi gets what he wants or gets some degree of what he wants, if we do get a Gakpo, if we do get a Savinho, and if we do throw in a 10 in there somewhere, then at that point, there is nowhere else for any potential frustration at performance to be finger pointed, other than
it'll be Lange as well, won't it? To be fair, Langer will get a bit until he gets. He will get a bit as well. But
what I'm saying is, if he gets three forwards in that he wants, or that we assume that he wants, then he's had 9 new players in one window. He will have had an extraordinary amount of money spent on him. It will be the first situation in a decade, give or take, whereby no fan can actually point their finger at a lack of backing and an ownership that hasn't given the manager what he wants. So it's over to De Zerbi. So, like, is there any part of the situation where De Zerbi doesn't want that entire responsibility? So therefore, he's potentially going, no, I definitely need Savinho, even though he knows he's not going to get it, so that he's got a little bit of
leave me a bit of wiggle room for excuse.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Sam? You know what I mean?
I don't think so, because let's be honest, and you know, we've spoke about this at length. I don't want to revisit the conversation, but outside of our little bubble, most people, when things start to go shit, blame the manager anyway to start with. I know Levy got a lot, but it does go to the managers to start with, and it did last season. We saw that with Frank, right? And so I think regardless of whether, you know, if we don't sign anyone, I said to Savva earlier, let's just say we go into and we only get one attacker or God forbid none.
You still think it'll be on De Zerbi straight away?
People, we will start to see tweets in October. Oh, do you know what? De Zerbi's an apologist for rapists. You know, he's meant to be this big attacking manager. He's never managed anyone bigger than Brighton and Marseille. I could see it already all over Twitter. You know, so I think that will happen anyway.
This is the question I keep asking: is if it doesn't go well, lots of people have backed themselves into a corner now where it's no longer on ENIC and the owners. They've backed themselves in that corner. And this is the problem. If we're hearing, and I must do the super chats in a minute, if we're hearing that this is all De Zerbi's choice, these signings are all De Zerbi's, if we're hearing that there's £200 million sitting on the table and De Zerbi's going, I don't want to sign any forwards unless it's these two, where's the blame going to lie? Because I can guarantee these people that have been blaming ENIC or whatever will quickly go back to blaming ENIC. They will. I guarantee it. If we don't get what we need, you're right, Connor. By October, people will either go in hard on ENIC or they're going to go in hard on De Zerbi, right? But can we go in hard on Lang? I'm told Lang's not involved. I'm told Lang is not involved now, and this is on ENIC. So who are we blaming? There's my question. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to think about that. I just want to do some super chats really quickly because I haven't done any. It's really poor of me. Really shit YouTuber these days, I am. Maybe I was always shit. Big up to Matthew Hoy, who said, idiots in your fan base, just like in our Man United fan base. We need a DM, and Luke Shaw needs replacing, plus more And all I hear is don't panic. Yeah, Matthew, I'm not a fan of the window hasn't shut yet, because I hear this every year and it always ends the same way, in panic. Big up to you, Matthew. And yeah, Man U's going to be a really interesting watch this season. 2 games a week. Let's see what you do in the transfer window. But it must have felt good being Ruben Amorim the other day when he battered you lot. Big up to you. Whole Spurs said it's a con. 25 million loss. That's all ENIC plaster. Listen, I think ENIC are about to spend money. I've got no doubt we sign players in the next 2 weeks. My worry is, are we literally just going to panic like we did last year with Simmons and Mawani? Or are we actually going to land players that we want? And that's the big question for me personally. Big up to Spurs Syndrome. So this past 6 weeks has showed me that Spurs still don't have a plan B, C, D. We never learn. Surely we have a cut-off point and move to different targets. Spurs Syndrome, if it was me, and I think Sean knows this massively, I would have been all over Mikatadze weeks ago. I would have been all over that lad weeks ago. He can play the De Zerbi way. He's technically very good. He can play across the front line. Players, but he's not in the Premier League, so apparently he's not good enough for Tottenham. Big up to you, my man. Big up to Whole Spurs again. Very generous. Said, great to see you, Savva. Just got my Newcastle, Palace and Ipswich tickets confirmed. Great to meet up for a chat. Yeah, I'll try and get to one of these games. I'm not doing the watch-alongs anymore, so yeah, I'll try and get to one of these games and we'll have a pint. I'll try and do it while I've still got a tan. No one needs to see me when I'm pale. Big up to you, my man. Big up to Tony. So this fan base is delusional. We lose Tonali, Fernandez, our team, Tell, Bergval, Sarr, Tell, Moore and Richie. Another 17th team. We are in trouble. I think what Lubo has said is right. I don't think we are going to lose many, but I don't think we're going to win many at the moment because of the forwards. Let's see, because as you said, who are we going to blame when we're not winning every week? Who are we going to blame? Big up to you, Tony. And London, I'm guessing that stands for London. Said, woefully underprepared for this season. Completely agree with you. De Zerbi gone in a year. So unserious. Lang's still there. No sporting director. ENIC is still the issue. I agree with you, Anne. All of this change, they still haven't implemented as a director of football. It's mental. They've had how long? A year since the new ENIC have been in charge, and all the same things, I'm going to say it, Sean's going to be well happy with this, all the same things that we blame Daniel Levy for are still happening, but now, because Levy's not here, we're making excuses for them, and that's our next subject, because that's going to get fun. Big up to you, Ant. Big up to Carl B, who said, hi, Sam, I hope you're well. I am. Hope you are as well. Do you think we need more signings? Do you think Arsenal retain the title? Okay, you're Arsenal. I think you need one more. I think you're going to win the league again anyway with the squad you've got. I think if you want to win a Champions League, I do think you need a next level player. You need a Kvaratskhelia. You need an Mbappe. I feel like that's why you guys are just going to fall short. But I hate to say this, you guys look bloody good, and look how prepared you are for the season compared to us. Big up. King Musa said Richie plan has always been to run down his contract. If Spurs offer this guy a new contract, I'm going to cry. That's all I'm going to say. If they offer him a new contract, I am crying. Big up to you, King Musa. Big up to Dean Law with a super chat. Really appreciate you, Dean. Always in here. The penultimate super chat for now is Whole Spurs. Thank you very much. Said, I could have been watching Lincoln away, but still spending £58 a ticket plus £150 travel times 3 at the moment. Don't care. I'll be shouting loud at the ground. Spurs in my heart regardless from 1978. Big up to you. Fair play to you, Whole Spurs. Thank you. Very, very generous indeed. And save the best for last. Thank you so much, Jordan. Always very generous to me. Said Kuda's been out since January. Simmons out and Odegaard out. Kulu just been resurrected from the dead. Still not replaced Son or Johnson. We shouldn't be 5 days away from Brentford, having not signed one forward. And this is why I say it's absolute negligence, because you're right. Not only have we not replaced Son, we've not replaced Johnson. Kudus is injured as well. Maddison, Simmons and Kulu aren't ready to play. I think it's negligence. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to go until probably just before 10. So if everyone's okay with that. Guys, I've had this argument with people and they now think I'm Levy in and all that. But if this had been if this had been Daniel Levy, wouldn't we all be sitting here going, he can't get deals over the line? Isn't this what we did with Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White? He can't get deals over the line. we're sitting here praising Rafi Mawson and the new owners, and they can't get Savio, Gakpo, Krupi, Liao, Rash. They can't get any of them over the line. So are we in danger of one rule for one and another rule for the other?
Why? Why? Do you
I
think
think
Levy
there
would
is a
have?
bit of
Do you think? Connor, do you honestly think Levy would have spent the money on Tonali and Fernandes, the fees and the wages? Not a chance. Not
Maybe
a
not,
chance.
maybe not. But I also think that we spoke about early on in the stream. I think that a lot of people have bought in, and this is not just Tottenham fans. This is media more generally, of this whole narrative of, oh my God, Tottenham have really opened up their wallets. They're spending ridiculous. You got Villa and Newcastle fans tearing their hair out. We're at between 50 and 70 million net spend as it stands, depending on, if you include add-ons or not. The wage bill's probably gone up by 11 or 12 million a year. So it's not like they've gone crazy, right? So I agree with you. I don't know whether Levy would have done those types of deals, but for me, the issue was always bigger than that. I think it was the model that ENIC wanted to operate for all of that time. Levy had his own flaws and his own issues, but I think he was symptomatic and systemic of a bigger model issue and the way that ENIC wanted to operate for that time. And I think you have to be consistent. I think you have to. Fans definitely would have been tearing their hair out at Levy right now had we been going into this week with no attackers. And I think I think there's been a lot of people that are on my side of the argument, the ENIC out argument, that have thought that getting rid of Levy was the silver bullet to everything. And I don't think there is yet. I don't think we've yet got evidence that ENIC have really changed.
Agreed.
There's been small change. Like I take your point. I don't think Levy would have done those deals for Fernandes and Tonali. I think he got too. To be honest, I think he was what's the saying? Penny shy, pound foolish, or whatever way around it is. I think he would have.
Yeah, penny wise, pound foolish.
Penny wise, that's it. Yeah, he couldn't get himself used to being in this new world of transfer fees, and he wanted to negotiate everything, and I think he would have struggled. I think he would have struggled with a Van Hecker deal, doing that type of deal. But similarly, I don't think ENIC yet have demonstrated that they are capable of a Kroenke type revolution at Arsenal. There's no
Connor,
evidence.
let me ask you a question. Because whenever I speak to people about this, they do exactly. Lubo is brilliant for this. I knew he'd say this. I knew it. We jumped straight to Tonali and Fernandes. And as good as those two deals are, again, you could argue that we overpaid, right? And that's fine. Again, I don't mind that we overpaid because I think they needed to do it. But couldn't the argument be there, Connor, that, well, they've made those two signings early to kind of almost shut us up, to go, hey, don't look over here, look over there, look how brilliant we are. But if it was true change, wouldn't we have kicked on from that with the 7 weeks? Like to not have anyone else since the Tonali deal, Connor, for me, is almost like I know we've been shit. Here's like with a kid. We haven't got a lot of money to give you. You don't get what you want. This Christmas, you're getting your Super Nintendo. That's showing my age, by the way. This Christmas, you're getting your Super Nintendo. Next year,
present.
Yeah, but next year, you're back to a Game Boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a bit of that going on, Connor, because of how it's gone from there to nothing for 7 weeks.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if we're really honest, Tonali and Fernandes, with the impact of the way that football money has grown, are those deals any different at this given point in time than the Ndombele deal? In terms of the finances?
In terms of inflation, are they different?
I don't know. I haven't run the numbers to check it, but I would suggest that it's probably, the wages certainly aren't. So...
Can we also just throw into the mix here that the appraisal of the window is not just on what we've got in, it's what we and not what we haven't got in, it's what we've got out. Because for me,
of course,
I think that some of the sales that we've done has been absolutely atrocious. I think some of the younger players, the money we've got has been okay, right? Because it's made our average spend pretty good. Like Lancashire, okay, I was never on board selling Lancashire personally. I think it's a massive mistake. I think that's going to prove to be a problem. Don't mind about Vuskovic. I got my head around that one. I think that one makes sense. Jed Spence, Solomon, 5 million quid for Solomon or whatever it was, ridiculous. I think the amount of money we're not getting for Vicario, we're getting nothing for Vicario. He's going to return after his loan with 1 year left. We're basically giving him away for free. It's embarrassing. Jed Spence, I think, was undersold. I think Romero was undersold, despite what I think of Romero. I think some of our senior players exiting the football club for pennies in the pound in a market where everyone seems to be going for like diamonds in the pound. I think it's ridiculous. And by the way, just because we can point to the fact that we've got a net spend currently of 50 million quid, well, next summer, we're not going to have the benefit of being able to offload loads of our youngsters because we've gone through half of that tripe already. So I think that, again, like if we're going to analyze the window, I think a little bit of it has to be focused on, okay, some people want to just go, we got rid of the Deadwood. Well, did we get rid of the Deadwood? We didn't get rid of Ben Davies. People called him Deadwood for 10 years. He's still at the football club.
Richarlison, Sarr.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got rid of any of these guys yet. But the players that we have got rid of, I think we've sold far too cheaply, personally. Now, you can make the argument that
Dragison's gone.
I agree. But
Sean Dragison's gone.
Yeah, no, Dragusin. Yeah, no, Dragusin. Yeah. Well, Dragusin, what was it? Like 2 million quid plus 20 or something euros. Not great.
Sean, I agree with you.
Like
isn't there the argument though that if you're selling Spence, let's use Spence and Romero, right? Because in my mind, Spence and Romero are the only two first team players that have been sold, if I'm not wrong, right? All the others have been very much fringe. Even Spence is fringe. Couldn't the argument be that, well, if Romero's worth more than 35 million, the whole of world football has seen that Spurs are selling Romero cheap, and no fuckers come in and put in a bid at 40 million. You know what I mean?
That's fine. So if that's the argument, if the argument is nobody wanted to come in for the player, therefore he isn't worth it, then isn't the same argument palatable with Cody Gakpo and Savinho?
No.
Where is the mark? Where are the queues of teams queuing up for those guys? Can't see it. And by the way, also, just because you're selling a player, I don't remember the last time a player who was a championship player when we bought him 3 years ago, when the market was mad then, but nowhere near as mad as it is now. We bought a player from the championship, and he has then gone on to become one of the top 5 standout names of the World Cup. I'm not saying he's one of the best players at the World Cup, but he was one of the sort of top 5 kind of like light shone on him over the course of the World Cup in Jed Spence. Do you remember that James Rodriguez? Right, do you remember him from about 3 World Cups ago? He had a decent World Cup. No one had heard of him before. He goes for an absolute monster fee as a consequence of him standing out of the World Cup. The fact that no one came in for him, we don't know if that was true or otherwise. We don't know whether he wanted to go to Spain.
This is the problem for me. And listen, I don't know what they're worth. I don't know if that's good money. I don't know who else bid and who else didn't. But for me, I think if you break down the context, I think that Jed Spence, for me, has been at Tottenham Hotspur for what, 4 years, 5 years? And no manager in that time has ever made him a first choice player, right? Now, I don't know this. I'm just offering another alternative, right?
3 years.
I think a lot of managers around the world are going to look at and go, well, hang on, how many managers has Jed Spence had? And not one of them has gone, this is my guy. Jed Spence would come in, do a decent job, and then as soon as a Dogie was fit or Porro was fit, it was right, see you later, you're out.
Sure.
Right? There's lots of talk again about attitude.
There's also late bloomers, though, in football, Savva. Look at Serhou Guirassy. Serhou Guirassy, when he was 26 years old, had been a bit part player in about 10 different teams in France. Never done anything. Suddenly, he's like now people are talking about paying 80 million quid for him when he's 31 years old.
I agree. I'm just offering some sort of answer to it. Like with Christian Romero as well. I've heard for years how good Christian Romero is. Now everyone knows I've always said I think he's all right. I've never been on board with this. He's a top defender. I think he's all right. I don't think he's got any standout qualities, if I'm brutally honest. But I always thought the test is going to be, this is a market where everyone wants centre halves and centre forwards, right? Let's see in the market when everyone knows that Tottenham early in the window have gone and bought 2 centre backs. Everyone knows Romero's going. Let's see who comes in for him at this very cheap price. And for me, again, this is only my opinion. I'm not saying it's right. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be looking and going, there's a lot of baggage with this bloke.
Sure.
There's age and availability.
Never fit for Spurs. Like I say, never fit. Misses so much for Spurs, never does for Argentina. Calling out the club. People love that. I think
Right, but that's
managers and
another thing
owners
that
don't
another
want
thing that
that.
concerns me about that, though, mate. I personally am of the conspiracy theorist mindset that a lot of that is engineered by agents to take advantage of a football club that doesn't really have any strength in leadership at the top end of the football club, and so you get to a scenario where the tail wags the dog. I think exactly the same thing might have happened with Jed Spence. There was lots of rumours that Manchester United and Liverpool were interested in Jed Spence. There were rumours that Arsenal were interested in Romero. There's rumours that the Romero's agent was talking, and even Romero had a conversation with Gabriel Heinze, which is why it cements the guy as being a complete bozo in my mind. Never liked Romero, never rated him. I didn't mind the player, but hated the person, couldn't stand him. My point being that I do feel like that those sorts of if there's any leverage being utilized here by the behavior of the player that is being orchestrated by the agents to try to manipulate the price point, to reject certain clubs. Oh, I'm not going to Man United, I'm not going to Man United, I'm not going to Liverpool. I only want to go to Inter. Okay, well, Inter's only going to pay 30 million quid or 25 million quid for Jed Spence. I'm only going to go to Atletico Madrid by Romero, or Arsenal. I'll go to Arsenal. Well, you can't go to Arsenal. Okay, you're going to go to Atletico Madrid. Well, in that case, they're only going to pay 35 million quid. That is a situation where weak leadership at the top it feels like the tail is wagging the dog, and whereby player power, which isn't a word we use that much anymore. It's a big deal about 10, 15 years ago, and there's like, gosh, you don't hear it too often, but it's still very, very much a big deal, very much a thing. But I come back to the same argument that if the argument for why you have to accept a shit show bid for talented players, whether or not they're problematic or whether or not there's any other part to play in that story, if it's because there's not a lot of people coming in for them, then why is it that we have to pay 2 or 3 times what the average and realistic price for Savino would be when there's not a single other football club that is competing for Savino right now?
Listen, I don't disagree. All I'm saying is we don't know if there's a lot of rumours. We don't know if anyone else bid, right? I fail to believe that if Tottenham had got an offer for Jed Spence for 50 million from Man U, for example, they turn it down. Look, on the surface, I agree. I think this has all been a byproduct of how badly we've been run for many, many years.
I agree.
That we had this squad where there's so many people unhappy. There's so much that's happened. People have called people out. He's not happy. He's not happy. We're now in a situation where you've got 1 game a week. Probably you can imagine Jed Spence saying, well, hang on, Pedro Porro's just signed a 5-year contract. I'm not getting game. So I think that this is the transfer window where we had to take it on the chin of dismantling this squad.
We've had to swing the pendulum so far to reset the culture. This is the problem. I think there's some context points with the window for us. And Sean, by the way, I don't disagree with any of the points you're making.
I agree.
Arsenal did this with Arsenal did it with Ozil, Kolasinac, Aubameyang, David Luiz, Lacazette. They did it as well. They took a hit on those players and got rid.
Okay. Yeah.
Arteta wanted them out, and he wanted to bring players in.
Yeah, and I mean, look, even Poch did that big shift on of players, didn't he? Not to the same extent in terms of hits, but sometimes I think. For me, there's the difference with the Savino and Gakpo one is Man City are happy enough to have Savino in their squad if they have to, right? We quite clearly wanted Romero and Spence gone as much as I think, or certainly with Romero and maybe slightly less with Spence, and those players wanted to go. The Gakpo one, I think, is for me. I think with Gakpo, I think he's probably fine to stay at Liverpool as well. I think he would come to us to be the main man, but he would be fine. He's on a decent wage there. He still gets a lot of games.
Savino wants to leave Man City, right?
Savino does, yeah, but I think Man City themselves have, they're very happy to keep him, right? Whereas
that's the thing, though. They are happy to keep they're happy to keep a player that doesn't want to be there.
But that's because they've got we've got to go back to the point of a culture that needs to be reset and a big shifting in terms of the whole squad that needs to be turned around. We need to just get players out. Now, what that ends up meaning longer term, to your point around, player power, will be interesting to see how that ends up transpiring. Now, what you'd hope is De Zerbi stays there for a number of years. This is the painful rebuild we've been promised for God knows how many years.
Can I ask you a question, Connor, though? Right, you're someone who understands, you know the financial side of the game, right? But obviously financial side and negotiation skill, they're 2 different things. To me, I'm of the opinion that as frustrating and infuriating and as many bridges as that guy burned as he did, Daniel Levy carried with him a level of negotiation respect, if not like disdain, but whereby other clubs knew that they weren't going to walk into an easy conversation with him. And it might have dragged out. It might have gone on too long. And as Tottenham fans and fans of other football clubs, it might have been frustrating. But I feel like every single football club knew they were going to some degree into battle. And it might have taken a long bloody time. But in the end, whether it worked out or didn't, you knew that you weren't really overpaying or underpaying too much, because Daniel Levy wouldn't have, he wouldn't have just sort of yielded. And so that all of those problems that came with that guy, and I'm happy to admit all of the issues, I've acknowledged it and conceded 1,000 times that his negotiation style, zero-sum economics, poor for an industry where you have very relatively few counterparties. I don't feel like the current people at Tottenham Hotspur have any wins in the locker. I don't feel like they have any gravitas. I don't feel like they carry the respect of the other chairman. And I feel like that is being manipulated and leveraged at the moment. If I'm honest, I believe that of all the players that we have sold this summer, we have sold I reckon we are net down maybe 25% on real value. And I think in terms of players that we've signed, with the exception of the free transfers, and I'll give them credit where it's due for Senesi more than anything else, Robertson, whatever, but Senesi was an absolute bargain, an absolute steal. But I think we have net overpaid by about 35% for most of it, or 30%, give or take something.
Yeah, I mean,
look at the squad. Hang on, look at the squad though. Look at the squads that we finished with through Levy's negotiation.
I'll let you jump in. Let me just answer the question, and then I'll let you jump in. It is a bit of a Tottenham thing to do, right? So we pivoted to the youth-centric model. Now suddenly we've gone all the way to the opposite end of saying we'll only sign Prem-proven, no-risk players. We had Ange Postecoglou. We reacted to that by bringing in Thomas Frank, right? And now it's almost with the negotiation thing. You had Levy too far this end of the spectrum of zero-sum game, and now it's like I'll bend over
the frying pan into the fire, right?
It's a bit reactionary, and then you hope it will get to its equilibrium at some point, probably. But yeah, I think you're probably right about I think the sales of the younger players that are not first squad players has been good. I don't take the point so much on Lancashire. I think that's good money for him with what's tied to it. He may well come good. Vuskovic, I think, is good money. I think they've done a good job on those ones. But yeah, the first team squad players have definitely been. If we were buying players of that quality, we would have paid more for sure. Sorry, right. Lubaker.
But they went abroad, didn't they? That's the other thing. They also went abroad. If they'd have been bought by Premier League clubs, then I'm sure we'd have probably got 20-25% more. So, unfortunately, that's the downside of when you sell abroad. How many clubs have got money? And Romero's 28.
Atletico Madrid have got money, right? They're a team that's in the Champions League every single year. They do very well. The idea that Diego Simeone cries pauper every year is ridiculous. The amount of players that they get, top players, they've got a brilliant team. Atletico Madrid would finish top 3, top 4 in the Premier League if they were in the Premier League. They always do very well. They do have money. It's madness that they can cry pauper that they do. Inter Milan similarly. I know Italian football is going through a massive problem, but they also are in the Champions League every single season, right? And who's the other team we're talking about here? Inter for Jed Spence.
To be fair, Juventus do genuinely have financial issues.
And Juventus have financial issues as well. But for them to get away with the Italian number 2 on what is essentially a free transfer, it's bonkers. My point is not. We've covered the point around there's like an underpayment. Like we're not receiving the value for money on some of these guys, right? My point is more around. Just Savva started the segment by talking about the ownership, ENIC 2.0, and one of my I don't know, not even a belief yet. I'm not at the point of belief, which is why I'm not asserting this. I'm more asking for your guys' opinions, and maybe it will shape my opinion. But I'm of the opinion, or I'm getting towards the opinion that we've gone out of the frying pan into the fire. There was a hell of a lot of negatives and downsides of Daniel Levy being in charge with regards to negotiations. Didn't pay the money for certain. Well, we could have got certain players. All that stuff. We've gone through it 1,000 times. But with these guys, I feel like we have gone from like the toughest negotiator in the world to taking candy from a baby type mentality. I think like we are just paying whatever anyone asks. We're getting our pants pulled down and we're getting shoved up the jackpot. I think it's problem I think it's a problem on both sides, the outgoings and the incomings. I think that a lot of other chairmen in the Premier League are looking at Tottenham as a soft touch since Daniel Levy has gone, and that might be for the better. It might even itself out. The pendulum might we come back to equilibrium to Connor's point. But I'd like to know your opinions of whether you think that there's any truth to that.
I agree.
I think it'd be interesting to see if it's a player we don't want to sell.
Yes. Yeah. See, I 50% agree and 50% don't. I feel like a degree of this was we needed to do it because of the situation we found ourselves in, because of the fact that we found ourselves with so many bad eggs that needed to go or wanted to go. The fact that they had to do something to show that it's change, i.e., again, I'll say this because people won't listen. You got Tonali and Fernandez, but when we're going, it's magnificent negotiation. It's not magnificent negotiation if you overpay. Anyone can overpay. Yeah. So and then if we're saying we're underselling and overpaying, my question is
contract, by the way, Savva. Yeah. Like Mickey van der Ven getting paid 240 grand a week, 250 grand a week.
Look, I think the difference.
They're spending the money.
Yeah, sure.
That doesn't mean they're spending it well. He was a part of the problem last year. Sorry, Savva.
No. You're right. I think what I said at the beginning of this window is before everyone goes mad about ENIC 2.0 and Mawson and this and that and deserve it. We do this all the time. We lose our minds over things that happen in a moment rather than saying, let's see where we are in a couple of years. Let's see what they pan out over the next 6-7 windows, right?
Absolutely.
We saw 2 signings in Tonali and Fernandez, and everyone lost their minds as though every signing Tottenham were going to make was going to be at Tonali's level, and every signing was going to be bish, bash, bosh, it's done. I want to see, what do Spurs do if this year, let's assume we buy a couple of forwards and we finish 4th or 5th and we get Champions League football. The real test for me is going to be, what do they do next year when suddenly you're going from 1 game a week to Champions League football every midweek, right? And now
especially, Savva, if you've dropped all of your budget on players that are micro needle movers, but you paid 85, 90 million quid, because next year the fan base had gone, cool, that was last season. What have you done for me lately? And if the money, because the PSR, the SCR, the squad cut, all that bollocks is still a thing. Plus also, you know what happens when you spend suddenly 70% of your ratio of your profit? They start to put the needle up on the revenue generating assets, right? And there's contracts that are being dropped, there's sponsors that are leaving. Suddenly they're going to put the price up on the season tickets again. And guess who's going to have a problem with that? All of the players, all of the fans are suddenly going, oh, Daniel Levy's gone. We're so much better off. You wait until next season comes around and everyone's forgotten what's happened this
Sean, this is my point, right? This is my point. I want to see what they do in a scenario where you're going, okay, we haven't got loads of budget because we've not been in Europe this year. So let's say we get Champions League next year, right? There isn't going to be loads and loads of money because we wouldn't have made any money from Europe. And the Champions League money, people don't realize this. It comes in the year after, right? So yeah, you can spend it up front, but it's not like you just go, oh, we finished 4th. Thank you. Let's have loads of money at once. What I want to see is, how does this fan base react when you have to sell a star? You know what I mean? So when you have to, i.e., if Chelsea have to sell Enzo Fernandez, not have to, but if Chelsea sell Enzo Fernandez for 120 million to go again, right? What's our fan base going to do when we have to do that?
Well,
how are we
they're
going
having
to
meltdowns about selling Bergvall?
Right, and this is Connor. This is my point. We've got fans that are upset that Lankshire's gone, a guy that's never done anything in football. We've got fans.
I'm part of that. I think
sure. Okay, cool. Well, I'll add you into my group then. We've got fans that are going, oh my God, but Bergvall in free. Right. I said last year, and I stand by this, Connor, I said it to all of you guys. You know, I've not backtracked on this. This squad for me has finished 17th twice for a number of reasons. I'm not bothered if any of them go. There's none of them that I can sit and go, what? You're letting him go? None of them. For me, none of them. And yet we all knew that every time a player was linked out the club, fans lose them. What? We're going to sell him. You're going to sell him. You can't let him go. Right? So what are we going to do when we need to act like a big club? What are we going to do when we go, shit, we're going to need to sell, I don't know, Mickey van der Ven next. I'm just spitballing. We need to sell Mickey van der Ven for 120 million so that we can go and buy 2 or 3 players. How are the club going to act? How are the fans going to act? That's the test for me, not overpaying on Tonali and Fernandes. Sorry, that's not the test. This is the easy bit.
Can I answer that and just go through a few things as well? Firstly, going right back to talking about overpaying for Tonali, there is a precedent for top midfield players being bought for big money. Declan Rice, Enzo, Caicedo. You could throw Anderson into the mix this season that set the ball rolling. So in terms of Fernandes, sorry, Sean?
Paul Pogba, could throw him in there as well. How much did he cost?
Yes, you could.
Not all of them work out, Lubo. Not all of them work out.
No, what a waste! But what a waste of a talent that was, Sean. That was the biggest waste of a talent I've seen in the Premier League. Attitude as well.
Just quickly, everyone in the chat, for me, there isn't a here we go on Ollie Watkins. It's not a here we go, but Al Hilal have bid 45 million for Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. Just so everyone knows this.
In terms of, so for me, I don't think we overpaid massively on Tonali because of the money that other clubs have spent on the Rices and the Enzos of this world. In terms of
but and because we can't scout, Lubo, and because we can't scout. Like you listen, I love Tonali, but there are midfielders out there in the world that can do what Tonali can do that don't cost 90 to 100 million pounds, right?
Fair enough. But I'm not gonna go back at the club because of that. If you've got someone of the level of Tonali, in terms of ENIC, to answer Sean from a while ago when he first came on, my opinion on ENIC 2.0, I think it's an encouraging start. For me, it's only 3 months. Let's see him do it for several years. But what do you want from owners? You want owners to show ambition. You want owners to make sure that if a manager wants to buy players, whatever the price, so long as it's not mentally mad, and I don't think Tonali and Fernandes deals were in that level, they put the money up. They've invested, if you include wages, they've invested 400 million over 5 years for Tonali, Fernandes and Van Heck. That for me is showing ambition on a level that ENIC 1.0 didn't show. It's a start. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Sorry, Lubo.
Let's see him do it. Let's see him do it year after year after year.
Lubo, I'm going to push back.
And then I'll be fully ENIC in.
That's the problem, though, Lubo. They can't do that year after year after year. You have to get it right. If you're going to fix, sorry, Savva, if you're going to Tottenham. If Tottenham go and drop another 100 million quid, by the way, the vast majority of our net spend right now, the vast majority is because of selling our kids, our top talented kids. We won't be able to do that next year because there isn't any kids left to sell. There might be a couple that are coming through, but there's not. We've got rid of like 75% of our talented 19, 20, 21-year-olds, right? Including, and if Bergwell's the next one to go.
Odebert and Tell, to be fair, Sean, we'll get rid of them too.
Well,
Bergman.
I mean, listen, you're going to wind me up and I'm going to end up throwing my computer out the window because the closest thing to me punching you through the screen right now. When you talk about Matisse Tell like that, what are you doing here?
I just want to add a point, right? When we're saying, I do feel that the transfer fee for Fernandes and Tonali has kind of made people forget that Spurs have signed good players in the past. Like, I do feel like that when we talk like every player we've had for the last 25 years has been absolutely shit. And that's not the case, right? We've signed some very, very good footballers in the past. But Tonali and Fernandes are getting more hype because they are breaking our transfer records, right? I've got nothing wrong with that, right? I've got nothing wrong that Spurs went big on that. But the thing was, I wanted to see how do Spurs back that up? And so far, to bring this all full circle, we've backed that up by doing nothing, right? We've backed that. Like at the moment, the net spend is what, 50 million, 60 million? I don't know. Somebody better than me will know, right?
About 70 million, I think. 70 million, I think.
70 million, right? Nearly all of the wages that you're spending on Tonali, Fernandes, etc. I mean, look, Romero's gone. Paulinho's gone from last year. Mawani's gone from last year. right? There's some big wages that have gone out the door as well as coming in.
Yeah.
But the big
It's
thing for
about
me,
11
Luke,
million quid difference in wages I'm making.
Okay.
A
So
year,
about 11,
which is
okay.
not very
So
much.
that's what, 210, 220 grand a week difference, right? If I'm not wrong, something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, to show that it was different, to show that it was promising, and I'm going to correct you on something as well. You said it's been 3 months. Sorry, are we just forgetting all of last season? Daniel Levy wasn't here from September, if I'm not wrong. I can't just suddenly pretend.
Oh no, listen, mate. I remember all last year with Lubo on Spurs 5. He was, when it came down to all the things that were good about Tottenham last year, it was because Levy's gone. When it came down to all the things that were bad about Tottenham's decline, it was because of Levy's remaining legacy. We know agendas are going to agenda. They will agenda into the future.
But my point is, in January as well, when we're going, players aren't available under De Zerbi, but we didn't do what we needed to in January as well with the forward situation. Fast forward to the next window, they've still not done anything about it. So before I go, oh my God, Enoch 2.0, Rafi Mawson, all these guys, I need to see something which makes me go, this is massively different. Because right now, and this is what we had a debate on the phone earlier, Lubo, I don't see what's massively different. They've broken the transfer record twice. Yay. I'm a football fan. I don't really care. That doesn't mean anything to me. They factually have not closed the gaps in the squad for yet another window thus far, right? Thus far, they have not addressed any of those attacking areas. And if we had done this show last year on the 18th of August, we would have all been sitting here going, oh my God, Maddison and Kulu are out injured, right? Son's not been replaced. It's still Richarlison and Solanke and only Kudus on the right wing. Guys, I'm going to be that guy. I'll say it fast forward 365 days. Oh my God, Maddison and Kulu are injured. Still only Kudus on the right wing. Still haven't replaced Son and Richarlison and Solanke up top. So before we go into, oh my God, isn't this version of management so much better? Based on what? 2 midfielders? Is that what we're basing it on?
Yeah, exactly.
Midfielders?
Exactly. I never got on board these. I always call it lipstick on a pig. I think the whole fan base got hoodwinked into thinking certain things were true. I agree with you, Savva. I think it's far too early to tell. I'm also unimpressed. Like I say, I hear I asked you guys for whether or not you agree with my stance generally. I think you're all sounding like you're willing to give enough rope and let's see if they hang themselves with it, sort of thing. But I think that to sit there and go from, Daniel Levy was the problem all along because we paid what everyone asked for any players that we've gone for and accepted what anyone's offered for every player that we wanted out the door. Anyone can do that. It doesn't take a football brain to do that. It takes someone that's got, that's writing checks with daddy's money, which I feel like these guys are doing. So for me,
Sean,
I'm listening.
Levy was here now. Sean, if Levy was here now,
yeah, we'd probably be worse.
This Savio deal was dragging on. Every single person in the fan base wouldn't be blaming Man City. They wouldn't, right?
And for what it's worth, I'm not making the argument.
Man City are playing hardball. What? So you don't think any of these chairmen ever played hardball with Daniel Levy? So for me, if I'm going to blame Levy, which I did, I'm going to blame this lot as well for. Yeah. If you want Savio, get the deal done. Stop blaming Man City. If Man City, or walk away, right? So that's why, Lubo, for me, when we have this chat and everyone's going, it's so different. It's different because of 2 central midfielders. Let's be brutally honest about that. No one else they've signed is oh my God, we couldn't have done that or haven't done that.
The only deal, just super quick, the only deal that I think is actually absolutely top draw was Senesi. Because I can imagine that there were plenty of teams that were looking at Senesi. And for Tottenham to have got in there and had the conversation before we knew whether we were staying up.
Yeah.
Got it done quick before we knew whether we were staying up or going down. It was done pending we stayed up. Right. And I think because Robertson,
he would have gone to Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, 100%. That's the one where I go, like, fair play. You spotted an opportunity. You paid the money. What have you done? Blah, blah, blah. But he is an absolute baller of a player. Delighted he's here. And I think I'll give credit to that. Robertson, I think, was probably easy. Relatively easy.
I'm not saying there's no credit for any of these deals, but my point is, when people are going, oh my God, it's chalk and cheese. literally it's two big, massive deals we've overpaid for that are making people think that that's enough sample size to say it's different. What I saw before that was overpay. Listen, and again, I feel like if I say overpaying, people think I don't rate them. I think we massively overpaid for Van Hecker, right? I really like Van Hecker. Please don't confuse the two. I massively rate him. But again, another player with 1 year left on his contract that the manager knew. And the other 3 were free transfers. So when I'm being sold that everything is different and I'm looking at all those forwards and I said, well, what's changed? Well, Daniel Levy wouldn't have broken the record. Well, at some point, Daniel Levy would have had to beat the transfer record and the wage cap. So I'm not buying it yet. I'm not buying it at all. I don't see.
And Daniel Levy wasn't working with them the same parameters as Vinay is. It wasn't Daniel Levy's money. It was the owners' money that they suddenly let the purse strings open after what happened. But like sorry, go on, Lubo. Sorry, I'm not going to get into it again. Go on.
No, let me just try and give a measured opinion on where we are as a club. I think the football side was broken. I think there's so much to do. They've got the macro side's got to be sorted out big time, which includes getting people who know what they're doing on the boards. You know, you had Bayern Munich had Rummenigge, Dieter Hoeneß. You had players like Overmars at Ajax, who were on the board, who guided those clubs. And we're talking top clubs here. We're talking elite clubs. And that's we are lacking football knowledge on the board massively. And I'm sure that's hindering us in terms, you know, you could turn around and say in transfers, somebody on there, you know, if you had someone on the board with major gravitas, well, because I think they took a view.
You're saying they changed, but if this was Daniel Levy,
hang on one second. Hang on. Sav, you can't change what hasn't happened for 25 years in 5 minutes. They tried to get Sebastian Kelly. They went for a director of football, Sav. They went for a director of football. Kell was interviewed. He actually said, why didn't you join Tottenham? He was asked. I didn't have the power over in terms of players. The manager has that. So he walked away from it. He walked away 2 or 3 months ago.
One director of
football. That's where. So they've got to put a director of football in. They've got to put people on the board who know about football, and all of these layers will strengthen the football club. At the moment, we're not there yet. At the moment, what ENIC have done, short term, very short term, because of the mess we were in, we escaped relegation by 1 match, is they've made money available and they've said to the guys, right, go ahead, go out and buy the players you need. And that's what they've done so far. It's very early days. The club was broken. There's so much work to do.
I'm sorry, Luke, but I can't. What I can't take is if your football club is broken, and I'm not saying ours wasn't. You know, I think it was and is.
Yeah.
How is one of the first things you're not doing after the last 2 years we've had is implementing a director of football? I don't like. You can say they interviewed someone, right? I work in talent acquisition, Lubo. Right. When I'm hiring for my company, I don't turn around to my CEO and go, have we got a brand new chief technology officer? Oh, I interviewed one. He turned us down. So I stopped looking. Do you know what I mean? I've got option 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you're going, it's changed. They're doing this. They haven't implemented the director.
No. Hang on. I did say earlier.
Let me finish. They haven't implemented the director of football. They haven't added anyone onto the board who is a football person, like you said. And they've been here a year. They've been here over a year to do this, right? Because it changed last year. They haven't added any forwards. And if you're telling me that's all on De Zerbi, then let's remember this when it starts to go wrong, because I don't want to hear anyone blaming ENIC. If it starts to go wrong, you're going to have to blame De Zerbi, right? If what you're saying is true, that 200 million's on the table. I'm sorry. This for me is not change. And this, again, is everyone went well too early. Everyone lost their mind because Daniel Levy is not here. And rather than saying, I hated Daniel Levy, so I'll wait to see if there's change, what you and others who hated Levy so much to the point where you got angry about him every show, What you've done is seen one good thing they've done or two good things with Tonali and Fernandes and gone, oh my God, this is amazing.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. You're wrong. I've said all along it's an encouraging start. That's what I said.
No, this isn't what people were saying 7 weeks ago. I've got the receipts. Don't worry. I don't want to use them, but I've got them, right? Now we're getting to the end of the window.
I'd like to see them. Can we see the receipts?
No,
I haven't followed Lubo's story.
Hang on. Now we're getting to the end of the window, right? What's now happening is, all of those people that were changed in at 2.0, now it's difficult to buy players. Oh, it can't be done in one window. Patience. Sorry, what can't be done in one window? We can't buy some forwards in one window. Like, the excuses weren't there before. They're now there, and I won't do that. I would be lying to myself if I just suddenly stopped the things that I blamed Levy for. If I suddenly went, oh, that doesn't matter because Levy's gone, so I don't mind if we don't.
Real quick interjection. What is it going to cost me in a super chat to see these receipts?
No, I haven't stored them. I'm not that guy. But I think from the WhatsApp groups you're in, Connor, you saw when we were debating it, it was like I was told, gutted Savva, you're in the mud, Enoch 2.0. I remember saying after the Tonali signing, I think Connor will back me up on this. All right, let's see what they do between now and Brentford. They'll have 3 players in. They're going big. They're looking for top players. They've done fuck all in 7 weeks. Right?
Yeah,
so for me to get
I don't
on board,
disagree with any of that. I do still think though, I do think we also wouldn't be being true to ourselves if we didn't all say that it was a surprise that we got Tonali and Fernandes in after finishing 17th back to back. I think that did surprise people, and surprises lead to emotional reactions, and perhaps people did go over the top to give some balance. But yeah, to not have an attacker in since then is.
Yeah, I do feel like I do. If I've got receipts in my memory's not great, but thanks to Oxford Natural, it's kicking a little bit better. I do feel
this isn't your channel. Don't you start promoting your... That's a $5, please.
Sorry, it's a trigger. It's a trigger reaction. Sorry, but I do seem to remember. Savva, if I'm not mistaken, I do seem to remember you saying there's no chance that Tottenham are signing Fernandes. Or I don't think. Look, we're looking at this. We're looking at that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I was the same. Yeah.
Mate, I said I didn't think we get Tonali. But the problem is, Sean, for me, the problem with it is the longer this goes on, it looks like this was more of, as I said, this was more of a, here's a special treat rather than, oh, we're going to go big. We're going to let players go at the right time. We've dropped the ball. We acknowledge. What have you acknowledged? You're starting against Brentford with Richie again. We've got, with all due respect, and I know he grabbed a couple of goals, but all of a sudden, Mikey Moore's now thrust into the first team. Yeah. That's great, but none of our rivals are going to be playing people of that ilk in their first Premier League game of the season. So that showed me.
I agree. And Brentford away is a brutal opening fixture, by the way.
Agreed.
I've asked loads of people, what do you expect? And when all Tottenham, I haven't heard a single. I've heard maybe 8-10% of Tottenham fans saying they think Tottenham are going to win, but none of them are saying 2-3-0. They're all saying 90% of people were saying a score draw. And if Tottenham fans are predicting a score draw, it really means I probably think we're going to lose. I probably think we're going to lose.
Had we signed some forwards, I would have fancied us to go into that game and win.
Agreed.
But I don't know how anyone can go into a tough away game with the proposition of the front three that is going to play in that game and say that they think
one of the toughest away fixtures in the league at the moment. Brentford.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a tough game. I think to Savva's earlier point, I think we'll defend fine and we'll have a proper midfield, which we haven't seen for God knows how many years. But I just can't.
And we'll struggle up front. So you could end up with a 0-0 draw, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could easily have a 0-0 draw.
Apart from the fact that my man Matisse Tell is going to terrorize people. I almost had a rolling R there. Terrorize people all day long. The only thing that Matisse Tell, he's got two gears, right? One is when he's triple man marked out of the game, and the other one is absolute balling. Like that's the two gears that he works in, right? And I think if we can like just get the ball to him, and then he can find the space to be triple man marked, other people will be the beneficiary of that relationship. But you guys need to pay attention to the fact that he is occupying 2 or 3 of the Brentford defence or the midfield when he shepherds it across the box to someone else to send it home. I want you to pay attention to that because Matisse Tell is going to fucking surprise everybody this year.
Bring back Daniel Levy so we don't have to hear Sean talk about Tell anymore.
you know how I feel about Tell. I actually feel sorry for Tell going into this game at the weekend. You know my feelings on him, but I feel like they're going to know, right, what we're going to do.
They're going to mark him out of the game.
Mikey Moore, I know he grabbed the 2 goals, but other than that, in pre-season, he's never once looked like he's going to beat a man or do anything on the actual ball, right? They're going to give the ball to Tell, and Brentford who have done their homework and gone, right, let's close him down, right? Yeah. And that's the avenue to go.
But in a world, Savva, where we have Matisse Tell, for anyone who doesn't rate him is fine. I can see there's a brilliant line by Leandro in the chat there saying the only thing that Tell is terrorizing is this fan base. Sensational banter. Leandro, very good. But what I would say is if Matisse Tell gets a little bit of space to work with on the left or the right, wherever he's going to get shoehorned, he can do some damage. Would you at least acknowledge that he can take a player? He's got confidence. So if you get a right winger, I don't want it to be Mikey Moore, obviously, because he's too wet behind the ears. But if you had a Kudos, if he was a fit, and you have Matisse Tell, at least in that environment, you have the dual threat whereby both Kudos and Tell can benefit from switch hitting in the midfield, where Tonali or Fernandez or whoever can, on a sixpence, put it into either channel. And both of those players are capable of causing trouble if they're up against one defender, one fullback. If they're double man marked out because there's no one on the other side. When Kudos first came to Tottenham, his best games were his first 6 games because the opposition hadn't figured him out. After about game weeks 5 or 6, they just double man marked him because there was nobody on the left hand side.
The rest of the team was shit.
The rest of the team was shit. Thomas Frank never played Matisse Tell, etc. Right? He gave him 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But if Tottenham can have, I'm more than happy to see Tottenham go and sign Rafael Leao. I'm more than happy to see Tottenham go and sign Savinho, whatever else. But if you get whoever the names, it doesn't matter who the names are.
Yeah, we need 2 outlets.
2 outlets on either side.
2 outlets.
Then it opens things up for Tottenham. That's all I'm saying.
By the way, I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to read out. I'll read out my part of this, right? Somebody sent me a screenshot from mid-July. And this is what I said in response to something, right? This was mid-July. So this is over a month ago. I've put, we're so bad, it's funny. There is a whole world of forwards and we're doing exactly the same as last summer with Savio. ENIC 2.0 my arse. I just knew there was no plan for forwards. Fast forward 34 days.
What was the other half of that receipt?
I'm not going to say, but I'm not going to say. But
why not?
I'm not going to say. But that was in response to how they've changed and how we're going to have forwards.
Who was it about? Was it about someone on this chat?
It was about it was me, Lubo, and 2 other people having a debate. They were all telling me how good ENIC 2.0 are in the change and that we're going to have forwards in for Brentford. And I said, I guarantee you we won't, and we don't. Unless we buy someone tomorrow, they can't play on Saturday, right?
Registered by Friday at midday.
Yeah. So unless you get them in the door tomorrow, 48 hours for all the...
But even Savinho needs his work permit, so...
Right. He's I was going to say, you got the work permit stuff as well, haven't you?
And this is what pisses me off. It's not that... It's not a I told you so, but it's why do we always believe it's different and it's not like that. That's what I don't understand with this fan base. We always think it's different, and we've got to the start of another season and we're going, all right, Richie's up front again. And you know what will happen, guys? If we beat Brentford and Richie scores and it hits his arse, we'll have fans that start going, you know what? I don't think we need a centre forward because I think De Zerbi's going to get 25 goals out. And we go, oh, God, like,
But what happens if Matisse Tell scores a goal, scores a banger, and puts an assist in as well? Are we still going to have people going as a moment
you on
player?
WhatsApp so I don't get messages like I did on Saturday night. I'm out for dinner in this lovely restaurant, right, in Spain. I'm out for dinner, and I see Sean's name come up, and I'm like, before I open this, I know exactly what this WhatsApp's going to say, and it was about trains.
Listen, if he does what he did on if Tell does what he did on Saturday, which was absolutely sweet FA for the entire game, but 2 moments of brilliance that create 2 goals, I'll be happy.
Sorry, what?
Oh God!
No.
What did he do? Sean,
he was marked out of the game. He was triple glazed, windowed the entire first half. The second half, hang on a minute. He set up the first goal, right? He was involved in the first goal. Then the second half, Hoffenheim have to come out and play, and therefore the game is opened up. And then he took over the fucking show, Lubo. What are you even talking about?
He created 2 goals. That's all he did. That's all he did.
Oh, was that all he did?
It doesn't matter.
The unbelievable stuff. The rest is irrelevant.
It was enough. It was enough because it cemented the win.
All he did was create 2 goals. Can you imagine
2 goals?
That's Lubo holds to himself. If all I did was create 2 shags on a Friday night, I wouldn't care if I spent the whole time with my fingers down my throat in the toilet. If I go home with 2,
what did I just say? What did I just say to you? What did I just say to you?
You're very single.
What are we doing here? He's a winger. All he did was score 2 goals.
Hang on. All jokes and banter aside, right? As Spurs fans, right? If Tell does what he did on Saturday against Brentford, that's bloody good.
Fantastic.
We bloody need it, right? But the problem is, we shouldn't be going in, all due respect, we shouldn't be going in as a club with this much money, right, that are changing. Matisse Tell shouldn't be our best forward going into a game on the opening game of the season, right? I'm sorry, he shouldn't. He should be a young winger learning, right? And that's the shame of it for me, is that this Tell conversation has gone round and round and round because Spurs have not done what they need to in a market yet again, right? So for me, all jokes aside, all banter aside, I'm not the biggest Tell fan, but for me, if he comes good, if he gets goals and assists as a Spurs fan, that's all I care about. But
absolutely.
More and Tell and Richie as a front 3 for Brentford. And that's on your owners, Lubo. That's on your new owners.
Your owners, Lubo.
It's not on my owners. It's on the recruitment team, Sav. It's on the recruitment team.
Employed by your owners. That was the argument.
It's on De Zerbi and his team. This is on De Zerbi and his team.
Who are they employed by, Lubo?
So what? Sack them? Sack the lot. Get them all out, Sean. Sack them all. Sack them all.
Lubo, for 4 years, whenever I had the conversation around like individual responsibility, people like you, when it was Daniel Levers, it all comes back to the top. And I'd say, well, what about the responsibility of this director of football, or that director of football, or this manager? And you'll go, oh, who employed him, and who employed them, and who employed them?
And if we don't get any strikers, then the owners are entitled to investigate why, and sort out.
So let me ask you a question. If RDZ turns around and says, "I want XYZ player," isn't that where his responsibility ends? He's not judge, jury, and execute. I fail to believe that while I fail to believe. Hang on, Lubo. Hang on. I fail to believe that he's on the training ground putting the team through some bleep tests, and they're doing some passing drills, and someone knocks on the window and goes, "Here, Roberto, quickly come in here. We've got a chairman on the line. Can you come and negotiate?" I'm sorry, we can't put this on De Zerbi.
All right. Okay. Right. He wants Savino. City play hardball. We don't get Savino. Whose fault is it? Whose fault?
Both of them for not walking away.
The last 4 years of your rhetoric, it's whoever's Daniel Levy's replacement.
Oh, he's got a point. Lubo, last year when we didn't get Eze, whose fault was it?
Well, that was Levy's fault. Because he messed about. He messed about. He messed about. If you're saying who's replaced Levy, if you're saying who's replaced Levy, I don't want Vinay at this club. I want him out. I don't want him. He's the CEO. Get him out. Get somebody in with an empathy for this club.
I'm going to go back to.
I don't want Vinay anywhere near the club.
Okay. But the question is, if Spurs can't get Savio, whose job is it at what point to turn around and go, we are walking away from this scenario. We're going to go and try and get El Mala or De Ketelaere or insert name of player. Whose job is that? Is that De Zerbi's? Is it Vinay's? Is it Charrington? Is it Lang?
Well, it's not Charrington's, is it? I mean, Charrington's a financial man. He doesn't know the first thing about football, does he? He didn't even know there were 11 players in the team.
No, but he represents the interests of the owners who are coming out and telling us they want to win the league. Mm-hmm. And we're being told on podcasts by, people who were involved. I mean, I saw this on Johnny's show the other week. I had to switch it off when that guy, the ex-director, was saying that the Lewises want to win the league. And then I looked at what the front three was going to be for the fucking Brentford game. I mean, it is.
But Connor, that director also said, other than Harry Kane, there's not really many players out there. It was like, whoa, hang on. What? It goes from Richarlison to Kane and there's no one in between. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? That's like going, it's either Susan Boyle or Megan Fox. Like, what are we? Nice example. What are we doing? Nice so, Ludo, answer the question, and then we are going to win the show. Whose job is it? At what point to turn around and go? We have wasted a year on Savio. We need to pivot to someone else. Whose job is that? Is it De Zerbi or is it somebody else?
I think it's Vinay's fault. He's head of that recruitment team. He's the guy at the top. He should be able to see. He should hang on.
Okay, so are we giving Vinay credit for Tonali and Fernandez?
Yes, you could give him credit for that.
Right, you see that?
He's putting you in a pretzel.
No,
absolutely.
Listen, Sean.
Vinay out.
Salt and pepper on that pretzel.
Can I tell you something? Because listen, even Levy was okay on real estate. You couldn't say he was shit on everything. So give Levy his dues on real estate. But I'm a football fan, and he didn't help the football club. So Vinay may well get one or two things wrong.
And neither of these owners right now, they're not helping this football club in the forward areas, are they?
Oh, I've waited 4 years for this moment where I can sit here and just
Lubo, you can't
point to the
Lubo,
easiest common denominator.
Why you've been put in a pretzel.
Why?
Hang on.
No. Do you expect Viv Lewis to find a centre forward for RTC?
You expected Daniel Levy
to roll heads if we don't.
You expected Daniel Levy to. You expected Daniel Levy to, Lubo. You used to hold Daniel Levy. You held Daniel Levy accountable for Ndombele. You held Daniel Levy accountable for Lo Celso, for Brian Hill. You held him accountable for all of the shit shows. So
Let me tell you. Hold on, Sean. What I held Levy accountable for. What I held him accountable for was profit before glory. That's what I held him. And no ambition, only looking to put money in his pocket and Uncle Joe's pocket. That's it. So that's what I held Levy accountable for. There you go.
But Lubo, on a serious note, you see the pretzel that you're being put in here is, on one hand, it's let me finish. Right. On the one hand, there's £200 million on the table being given to De Zerbi. It's up to him and his team. On the other hand, right, Vinay's not doing his job and getting it over the line. Well, hang on. So are we blaming Frank last year for not getting Eze over the line, or are we blaming Levy? Like, it can't be for one.
Hang on. Levy was involved in the negotiations and messed about so much that in the end, Havertz got injured. He should have had it tied up before Havertz got injured.
Sure.
We should have had Eze. That was down to Levy.
So, shouldn't we have Savio?
So, he was involved in the negotiations.
Okay, but the same applies to Savio. If we want Savio, why have we not got it over the line?
Especially
Because
Lubo. Let
City-
me just quickly
because
jump in
City
here.
are being difficult. I've been
As
told
all of a
City are
sudden-
being difficult.
And Parish wasn't. Oh, are we saying the Crystal Palace chairman was
And
a
by the
better
way, the
bloke?
similarities extend because all of a sudden Jeremy Doku has now got injured when he wasn't injured yesterday.
Oh, Lubo, you.
Well, sure,
honestly,
gives us less chance of getting him, doesn't it?
This is
It's
where you're better off
exactly a
slagging
carbon
everyone
copy.
off.
It's a carbon copy of the Eze scenario.
Right.
Yet you went gung ho after Daniel Levy. Are you going to do the
This is-
same for ENIC 2.0?
This is the point, Lubo. He's got a point. If we wanted Savio, for 1 minute, Sean and Connor, I know what you think about the price, but for 1 minute, forget about the price. If this is the deal they want and they are backing their man, whether it's 85, 90, 95, this deal should have been done if things have changed and it was Levy that held up all deals, right? Because last year, you're not going to tell me that it's Parish, right? The chairman of Palace, right? But you're not going to tell me that Parish made those negotiations for Eze easy either. Now, I'm not backing Levy. I'm just saying, if you're going to blame Levy, right now, the same thing is happening. You could say Gibbs White is Gakpo.
I think it was.
right?
I think it was the Athletic that actually. I think it was the Athletic that talked about the Eze deal. Arteta went in, offered 8 million more than Levy had. Levy then upped it to the same, and it was too late.
Well,
Sure.
Eze
Palace
always-
wanted, I think, Palace wanted 68 all the time.
For what it's
He could
worth,
get a
Eze
deal done,
always
Arsenal
wanted
can't get a deal
Arsenal. So there's a whole other side to the story which you haven't got with the Savinho debacle, which is Eze always said it was always going to be Arsenal, and that he was reassured, or his cousin said, Eze's cousin said on a podcast that it was always going to be Arsenal, no matter what Tottenham did. Arteta was going to be made aware, and as soon as the price was agreed, Arteta was going to pick up the phone and match it, and he was going to go to Arsenal. So Tottenham never really had. That's the cousin's take on it. But
That's
regardless,
speculation. Speculation.
Well, okay, fine. But you're also speculating with the Athletic. So, but my point being that every single thing about that story is essentially identical, with the only anomaly being that there is nobody else coming in for Savinho, yet there was always the prospect of Arteta and Arsenal coming in for Eze, and Eze was an Arsenal fan. So, if anything, it's easier to get Savinho than it is to get Eze. Are you going to hold the ownership, this new ownership that you now are madly in love with, to the same standards that you held Daniel Levy?
Well, this is completely different because Levy was involved in the negotiating with Savinho. I don't think we're even there yet, are we? I don't think. I'm not sure we were.
Lubo, this is where there's no benefit, and I used to say it when Levy out, as used to say about Levy, of getting yourself so bogged down in the minutiae of like individual deals and using that as the baton to hit him over the head with. Of it didn't happen.
No, but Connor, there'll be some deals. No, but there'll be some deals that Levy wasn't to blame for because the selling club wouldn't sell, or they wanted more money. Levy wouldn't pay a lot of the time. So it's not like this situation where Savinho, City aren't selling him. City are like playing hardball. You can't listen. If Levy was there,
we don't know what the details are.
Well,
but this is where I fundamentally just judge it on. Like, if Savio doesn't happen or does happen, I don't really care. I wouldn't use that alone, that individual deal, to then dig out the ownership forevermore. What I'll dig out the ownership about is if they go into this season without signing any attackers, and is the squad in the position it should be at the end of the window? And I think that's, people got too focused on that with Levy about individual deals. The issue for me with Levy and ENIC, more so at that point, was they never showed the ambition that they should have showed. They never stretched themselves. They never had a plan going into windows to always better the club. They put too much focus on property. Those are the bigger issues, that rather than getting yourself bogged down in Grealish and Eze, because otherwise Sean and Savva can do what they're doing to you right now, which is basically go, I'm going to pick a deal that looks very like those ones and I'll dig you out over it. You basically just open yourself up for that.
Like a can of baked beans.
But hang on a second. But what did I? No. You've just ignored what I said a few minutes ago. My problem with ENIC was the lack of ambition, the lack of putting wages on the table, the lack of paying the money when you could have had
where's that this summer?
For the extra. Sorry. Well, listen.
And where's that this summer?
I haven't been able. Well, we've got to find out why these players haven't got over the line. They've looked at enough players, Sav. They've looked at enough
have
players.
Have they? Have they? Who?
We don't know. We don't know. We got
No,
no
hang on,
idea.
hang on,
We-
Sean, I want to hear it.
We
I
don't
need to
know
hear
how
this.
many. We don't know. All we know is the ones that come out. We don't know the ones where they picked up the phone to the agent and said, "Is your client,
Sure,
is your
okay,
player interested?"
okay.
No,
Well,
he's
let me-
not.
let me
We
give
don't
you
know
an
about
example,
those, do
Lubo.
we?
Lubo, let me give you an example, right? Brighton have just signed a striker this evening called Promise David, right? I don't know a lot
Good
about
player.
him. I'm looking at his stats. Looks decent. I don't know a lot about him. Why are Brighton able to sign a forward and we can't? Is every player's agent saying no to Tottenham? I fail to believe that.
Or does
I
Johan,
fail
Would you
to-
want-
Johan
would you want-
Lang decide that a lot of players, like for whatever reason, he's got an incredibly fine-tuned, I only want one player, one or two players. If you can't get them, there's no one else is good enough. It's not
You're
like
saying they looked
Brighton
at
and
a lot of
Bournemouth
players.
don't sign
Who are
players
these
that are better
players?
than Tottenham standard. Let's be honest. Look at Rayan, right? We were linked with Rayan.
Sure.
Bournemouth go and get it done. That geezer's worth 100 million quid already.
Sure.
In
Do
6
you know
months.
my problem with it? Sure. My problem with it is this: is when you look at the names that we know we've been interested in, not the rumours, but that we've actually been involved in talks with, right? That is Somerville from a relegated West Ham,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That is Krupi, who we were never going to pay. What they're well within their rights to ask for 100 million plus. We were never going to pay. It's ridiculous. He's had 21 starts, right? Savio and Gakpo, we can't get over the line. And who's the other? I feel like I'm missing one in the Premier League. I don't know, right? Who else, Lubo, has been in the news that Spurs are in talks with or have bid for? And you would find out in this day and age. You wouldn't find out if there was a phone call, but if we got to a negotiation stage or bidding, who else have we bid for in this window?
Yeah, no one.
No one.
Not really. No one really.
It's all eggs in Savio and Gakpo's basket. And if
Yeah.
it comes off, great. Over to you, De Zerbi. You got what you needed. If it doesn't come off, this has to go down as an utter failure again, Lubo. It has to. And you're trying to spin it.
Forward either, by the way.
You're
Neither
trying to
of those
spin
two.
it that
This
it can't all be done in one window. Why can't
it's
it
a
be done
six
in
out.
one window?
It's a 6 out of 10 window. De Zerbi said we're 60% of the way there as far as he wants on transfers. That's a 6 out of 10 window.
Okay, which is failure. After finishing
Depends what
17th
you call
twice, you can't have a 6 out of 10 window.
Okay. Did you
Let
expect
me
a 10
give
out
you
of
an
10
example.
window? When?
Give you an example.
Well,
right?
no, I think when
Chelsea-
again coming back to it, when your owners are coming out saying they want to win the league and you finish 17th twice, you can't sign no forwards. Come on,
right. What about
and they
Ndiaye
might
at the
still, right? And they might still
star
do it
at Palace?
before, but
Morgan Gibbs White. Look at all. If you want to go down this route of only Prem proven players, there are Prem proven players all over the place, and we've chased these two names and Krupi all summer. And our fans have got so desperate, they're starting to talk about, well, would you buy Krupi injured? No one buys an injured player for insurance purposes, for tax
You wouldn't get
reasons.
insurance. You wouldn't get
Of
insurance.
course, right. But that's how desperate we've got, is that our plan was Krupi, Savio and Gakpo, and that was it. And I'm told
Well, hang
that's
on.
changed.
Leao, they spoke with as well, didn't they? They spoke with.
So
his
why haven't they
people
got
as well.
Leao? So why have they not got him?
I'd bite your hand
I
off
don't
for
know.
Leao right now at 50 million euros. I don't even care what the risk is with him.
I agree.
everyone seems to avoid that one, though. To be fair, don't they? But
Yeah, there
but,
must be something going on with
but
it.
again, that's not a plan. Leao's not a plan, is it? That's the agent offering him around like he's a cheap
Yeah,
whore,
and we were
right, to
promised,
every
Connor.
club in Europe.
We were reassured by De Zerbi 2 weeks ago that every target we're after was agreed in March before he came to the football club.
That's true. That's
Which is
true.
what you'd expect, right, of a proper club. You know, that is, yeah.
Sure, but you've got to move
So
with
every single player that was on the shortlist was agreed before he signed. There's no wiggle room from that. And again, leads back to Savva's point about all eggs in one basket.
Well, it depends how big your shortlist is, to be fair. You know,
Even if it's a long list, but like we haven't heard any fucking links. We've heard nothing.
No, Mikatadzi's been like a player we like, isn't it? You know, Paulo. I mean, these guys could tweet
year,
anything.
no-brainer.
Could tweet out.
That's a no-brainer for me. if you want Mkhitaryan, I'm sorry. Listen, Villarreal are a decent football club. They've got good pedigree. They've won trophies, but this is not a really rich football club that can hold on to all their top players. How are Spurs at no point gone, you know what? All right, we're 50-50 on both Savio and Gakpo. Let's take some of the eggs out of that basket and go over here. But no, we're still all eggs in both those baskets. And I'm told every day, patience, the window's not shut. The window's not shut. Yeah, but the season started. The season's going to have started before we signed anyone.
There's no alternative to being patient. What are you going to do? Give up? Just let it fight? Forget it. Leave it. That's not an answer. That's not an answer, right? They've had. So what do you do? What do you do? Do you stress yourself out and think it's shit, it's lousy? Right. What have they done? Yes, fine. Or you just got to sit tight and wait and see what happens. No, of course. But okay, if that's the case, we got no choice, have we? We're fans. Okay. If that's the case, why has any Daniel Levy argument ever been a Daniel Levy argument? What if the answer every time back to you was, why stress yourself out? We can't do anything about it.
Yeah, what's the point of
because we're not talking retrospectively, are we, at the moment, about the window? I was talking retrospectively about what Levy had done or not done. But you want to talk to me? Well, you want to talk to me in 2 weeks' time, Savva, and then say, right, this was crap. We haven't got a forward in. But Lubo, you still left it too late. We've had a whole pre-season where none of these new forwards that we're going to get in have had any chance to learn De Zerbi. I was told at the beginning of the summer, hang on. I was told at the beginning of the summer, as you lot were, that Roberto De Zerbi's tactics take 3 months, 4 months for players to get used to. Hence why he wanted people in June, right? That's what we were told, right? And everyone went, it's going to be in. They're moving differently. Now it's, well, as long as it's by the end of the window. Okay, so when those players sign on the last day of the window, those players have got to hit the ground running. There can't be an excuse for them that they didn't have a pre-season because that was Tottenham's choice. This is our choice not to buy players at this stage. This is our choice to go after 2 players that the clubs don't need to sell, right? They don't need to sell. We're basically the little brother in this scenario where we're going, please, Liverpool, buy Barcola. Please buy Barcola so we can have your player. It's embarrassing. Go and get what we need so that
the
you can turn
Savino
around
one is
Liverpool.
worse, isn't it? Because that's been going on since last summer. So surely, if to Sean's point, if that was agreed in March that we wanted to continue with him on the list, surely it's first week of the window. You say this is what we're willing to pay. Otherwise, how are we in this situation with Savino still now? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Mental. But the thing is, Connor,
and if he wants to join us so much, by the way, it's all right liking social media posts. Tell Man City you're not going to turn up to training.
Yeah, exactly. Start to engineer a move like what Romero did, or whatever. Start to play the dark arts. What we're doing here.
See, just quickly, by the way, when people say things like this, Danny, it's not us. This is who De Zerbi wants, we've been told. De Zerbi wants Gakpo and Savio. That's what everyone said. Forget what me, Sean, Lubo, and Connor think. We're not on the board. We're not in the recruitment team. And I'm going to end the show on this. I'm going to end the show on this, guys. The key thing for me is this. I want us to be a competent football club. That when we are, if City have messed us around and we can't reach an agreement, that we turn around and go, do you know what? Don't worry. We're going to go and buy Mkhitaryan next week. You've got 1 week to let us know if you want to sell him, right? Call them out. We go and get Mkhitaryan and then they come back. Oh, we need the 80 million for Savio. No, sorry, we've moved on. But right now, we're like this little...
How much would you pay for Mkhitaryan?
I'd pay at this stage in the window, Sean, anything.
No,
with that,
realistically,
70 million euros, I reckon he'll go.
Yeah, I said 55 million pounds.
Yeah, he's proven his everywhere he's been. His goal ratio is insane. His talent is insane. But he's a lightweight guy, though. I don't know where do you slide him in
anywhere in the front three. I don't care at this stage.
Fluid, figure it out. Yeah.
I heard you say something the other day on your show, which I thought was right. He said, I think, not word for word, Sean, so apologies if it's not verbatim, but it was literally, you're at the stage where it's get them in and figure it out later, rather than what we should have been, which was get them in early and figure it out in pre-season. Right?
That was the argument with Akliouche in January as well, when people were going,
100%.
oh, do you want Akliouche because you've got Kudus and Kulusevski? And, that was when we thought they might play again. And it was like, sometimes you just sign good players and you work it out. And
Work
it will
it
work
out.
itself
Yeah.
out.
And again, you now two things happen when you do this. When you put all your eggs in the baskets of Savva and Gakpo, one, you allow other clubs to have time to move on to their other targets, which could be people like Mikatadze. And two, the price goes up and up and up. Because if we go to Villarreal with 5 days of the window left and go,
Yeah, they got to find a replacement.
They've got to find a replacement, right? This
It's
is
not
the
rocket
most.
science. Give everyone a little bit of time, a little bit of rope, right? It's not the end of the world. Go and drop 60, 70 million euro. Just go. What's your asking price for Mikotadze? He's not for sale. Seriously, what's your price? What price is he for sale at? 60. How about 65? Bang. Right? What's 5 million between friends? It's not a problem, is it? Just get it done. Avoid any argument. All I want to see is tomorrow morning or Thursday, an Ornstein bomber out of nowhere. None of this, is it happening? Is it happening? None of these Fabrizio Romano quote, repost, requote tweets, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just Ornstein, bosh. Tottenham in for Mikotadze, bosh. 2 hours later, here we go. Done deal, whatever.
Tottenham are in talks with Everton for Undai.
And then an hour later, and then you go, fuck, get live, Bugsy, we gotta go, Bombers, they're about to drop.
But the thing is, for me, whatever they do now between now and the end of the window, unless it is brilliant, I'm still going to be saying the same thing, that it's another window where we could have been organised and planned, ready for the season. I'm sorry. For me, the two signings, if they are making two, they've got to now be good. They've got to be at the level where I go, I take it all back. That was brilliant. Because now, if I know you like Mateta, for example, I don't mind him, but if now we went and got Mateta and I don't know, someone else, if we went and got Mateta and someone else of that ilk, I'd be a bit like, right, we've waited all summer for that.
I just think you need to get someone that's a big guy. Like if you go and
can
sign
he press? Can he press? Because that is how De Zerbi plays, right? Got to be able to press from the front.
He's a lump, right? But maybe Jean-Philippe Mateta, maybe he's not the perfect example. I'm just saying, if Tottenham are going to sign Savinho, if Tottenham are going to look at Mikotadze, these guys are 5'8", 5'9", right? I think Tottenham needs someone who's 6'2", 6'3". That's more than part of the reason why I'm on board Cody Gakpo. I think that you need someone to level it out. I watched I did the watch along for the Hoffenheim, the second game in Hoffenheim on the training ground, and I looked at the pitch, and Tottenham's two biggest players were Kevin Danso and Pape Sarr, and they were like levels, like inches taller than everybody else on the Tottenham team, and those two were relatively small compared to the German lanky bastards. And I was just like, it's a point, right? De Zerbi said it. We've got to be considerate of the height. And then when you look through our team, we don't have too many. If you even like Bergvall, right? You don't think of him as tall, but he's 6'2". He's quite a big guy. Even Archie Gray's quite tall. I think he's 6'1". But if you look around some of our forward line, and you're looking at the players we're linked with, I'm a little bit worried about getting bullied and beaten up in set pieces next year.
By the way, can I tell you? I must finish the show, right? Can I tell you who I reckon it will be? I've got no source, no ITK. I think we're going to end up putting in a bid for Nicholas Jackson. That's what I reckon we're going to do. I think we're running out of play. I'm not saying I would do it, but we are running out of Premier League players.
To be honest, I think he's better than Richarlison and Solanke.
Yeah, he's better than those two. We're going to pay 80 million quid for him. Definitely. And we're going to end up going, oh my God. In a year's time, everyone's going to go, get this bozo out of our club.
But Sean, this is my point. This is why we had to move on. And when everyone's going, oh, you're panicking before the window's shut. I've seen this film before. It always ends the same way. I feel like when people are telling me the window's not shut yet, are they truly believing that Spurs actually have a plan for the last 2 weeks that we've been holding on to for 3 months?
Yeah, it's like watching that series Lost. And people going, I've dedicated 8 seasons of my life to this program. Yeah. I haven't got a fucking clue where it's going, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disappointed. But no, you got to wait. You got to see it out, Sean. You got to see it out. Kind of know where we're going with it. You know,
that could be a shout. I think Jackson could be the replacement if Watkins goes to Al Hilal. That's a good point. But again, these clubs replace their players. Like, look at Chelsea, right? Chelsea lost Cucurella. They brought in 2 wing-backs. Like, Spurs lost Son a year ago. Like, isn't it like 370 days ago or something? And we've still not gone and bought anyone to replace him. It's just, we're so frustrating. Anyway, we better not, by the way, get Liam Delap. If we get Liam Delap, oh my gosh, I will cry. We've been linked with Sorloff. Are we? Sorloff. Anyway, Sean, any last words you want to say, Sean, before we go?
No, just last chance to jump on board the Matisse Tell train. Choo choo. Next stop is 20 goals a season Junction. If you don't get on board now, I don't want to see you jumping on board in the 4th quarter. I don't want to see it. I've taken notes. I've got my receipts. Okay, you guys are all going to be in the mud, so jump on board before the season starts. You've had enough time. The choo choo. Hello, what are we doing here? That's it.
I knew it was going to be Matisse Tell. Connor, any last thoughts before we wrap up the show?
No, other than, as I said earlier, I'm almost wishing Levy's back so I don't have to hear Sean speak about Tell so much. But yeah, no, thank you for having me on. Good to be back. It's been a while, so thank you. It was a good chat.
Thank you. Lubo, the last thing for you to say on this show, what would you like to say?
Well, listen, if we're talking about Tell, obviously, I've got to mention who's been the captain in all the pre-season friendlies. Could he be captain again on Saturday? Let's wait and see.
By the way, I'm going to end the show on this. I cannot understand at all how you're watching pre-season friendly games the week before a Premier League game. You've got Gallagher, Tonali, Van Hecke, Senesi,
Robertson,
and 20-year-old Archie Gray, who's not going to start in the 11 when all fit, is captain. That baffled the life out of me. I'm not going to lie. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme.
De Zerbi out?
De Zerbi, yeah, let's start it, Sean. Let's start the movement. De Zerbi out. I want to see when Spurs go through a difficult patch who Lubo can blame this year, because apparently De Zerbi's buying all the players. Enoch 2.0 are brilliant, and Lang's nothing to do with transfers. So I'm waiting to see who he's going to blame. I can't wait.
Listen, do you know what, Sav? With the squad that we've got now, I think we're 9th, 10th. So for me, anything above will be a bonus, and anything below will probably be a little bit disappointing. So that's where I see us at the moment with this squad.
Now I'm going with 11th or I'm going with 10th best. Don't see Look, you're on mute.
I don't see it's because
Yeah, I was just saying, isn't that so disappointing that's like, given the scenario and circumstance we've got now, where we could quite easily get back into Europe with just a bit of sensible acquisitions up top, given we haven't got European football.
Yeah.
And then you're going
shit the bed.
9th.
They've shit the bed.
From owners that are saying they want to win the league, by the way, just to remind everyone.
Yeah.
Good
And by the way, Lubo, you know when you say you don't think we'll concede a lot of goals, am I the only one that's seeing in pre-season? I feel like we're being opened up quite a lot. I thought like Hoffenheim had quite a lot of chances.
Pre-season, no, I just don't.
Van Hecke is going to split the fan base.
He is.
Bro.
Mm.
People are going to fall in love with his on-the-ball stuff, and they are going to hate his mistakes at the hate.
Right, on that note, we've got 2 super chats and then we're ending. Matthew Hoyer said, Sean has nailed it. Spurs overpaying and underselling reminds me of my club, Man United. We gave Rashford 300k a week, and now we can't sell him. Well, Matthew, to be fair, I did see Carrick saying that he doesn't want to sell him and he wants to keep him. I'm just saying, and if you don't want him, I'll have Rashford all day long in our front three with how bad it is. But thank you very much for the super chat. And Carl B said you could get Voltemade tomorrow. I fail to believe that Newcastle were going to sell Voltemade today.
I would take him.
Me too.
I would take him. But Tonali, Gordon, Guimaraes, I fail to believe they're going to... They're buying Nico Gonzalez, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe.
Link with him, yeah.
They're talking. Yeah.
Man City, yeah. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, guys, We're saying yuck Rashford. Have you seen our front three? What are we doing here?
Two of the three. Let's leave Matisse
No,
out of
front
it.
three.
Shut
Close
up,
the
you
show.
guys.
Close the show.
I'll close show. Can I just say, isn't it funny how he was brilliant and loved by the fans at Villa? He's just had a really great season at Barcelona, and we've got Spurs fans going yuck to Marcus Rashford. Let that sink in, guys. It's been a great show. Thank you very much. Love you all. Take care. Surely Lubo's owners are going to kick into gear at some point. Lubo promised me 2 new forwards by Brentford. Wrong again. I promised
you.
Kane. I was promised Krupi. I was promised all of these top players. It hasn't materialised. Enoch out. Savva.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry in my position of head of recruitment that I haven't brought these 2 forwards in before Brentford. Please accept my apologies.
Are you ready to acknowledge that your ITK is not really an ITK? In the words of James Madison, your ITK doesn't ITK or isn't ITK.
No, listen. Everyone he's told me we're talking to, we have spoken to. So he's not negotiating the deals. At the end of the day, he's not negotiating the deals.
He's just looking on Twitter 5 minutes before you do, you bozo. Jesus Christ. End the show. I got to go to bed.
See you later, guys. Go to bed. Take care. Much love. And everybody, I can't wait for Liam Delap to sign on deadline day. Bye.